subscribe, like the video, and, if possible, join Patreon. But if you don't have much money, you can support the channel by watching the novels on euroaudiobooks.com. Remember that you can participate in the polls so that your favorite novel gets published for free.
Go flat. The only problem is it's really expensive. UU fruit costs $4,800 and the blank fruit costs $5,000. The reward for coming to Sky Island today have been eaten up by them. System, is this also part of your calculation? Sure enough, money comes and goes quickly. Adventure coins, 73052285. Luffy stood up and said to Zoro beside him, I have a plan. What? The plan to hunt down the god. Luffy grinned and gestured for Zoro to follow. The ruler of this Sky Island is a god. Let's go kill him. Robin, are you coming? Killing a god. Robin's face was full of reluctance. It's very dangerous. You guys do your best, Luffy. There seems to be a piece of historical text in the place where the god is. Robin's body trembled. Her eyes widened. What a wicked man. She smiled slightly, closed the book in her hand, and elegantly stood up from the cloud chair. Let's go, Captain Luffy. Thanks to TL for the monthly ticket and also asking for flowers, asking for full subscription mountain. 081 Sun God versus Thor God. There's also a gap between the gods. Luffy, where is the god you mentioned? Zoro looked up at the sky. The midday sun was a bit dazzling. The place we are in now is called Angel Island. Luffy walked towards the Mariejois, explaining, this is Angel Beach on Angel Island. In the northwest direction of this beach, there is a larger island called Sacred Domain by the people of Sky Island. It is also known as the Island of Gods. The Island of Gods? An island where deities reside? Could it be a part of Jaya Island brought up by the knock-up stream? Robin pinched her chin and speculated. Truly a clever archaeologist, her mind worked quickly. How do we get to that Island of Gods? Zoro asked. Of course by boat. Do you expect me to carry you there? Robin is one thing, but I don't want to bring two people, Luffy replied. In his words, Luffy leaped onto the Mariejois. Usopp and the others were gathered at the bow of the ship. Hearing the commotion behind them, Usopp turned around nervously and said, Luffy, you look? He moved aside, and Luffy and the others finally saw the strange scene. A peculiar creature wearing a green cloak and holding a small wooden hammer stood there. The cloak's hat covered most of its face, only revealing its mouth. It was less than a meter tall, similar to Chopper. But strangely, this thing seemed to have a foggy glass effect. Even though it was standing right in front of everyone, it looked very blurry. Luffy, is this a ship spirit? Sanji's face was filled with astonishment. We put that fruit on the deck just now, and this thing appeared and ate the fruit. Although he took out the fruit, it was also Luffy's first time seeing a ship spirit. Curiously, he took a few steps forward, crouched down, and tried to communicate. What should I call you? Mary, go. The little spirit's mouth opened slightly, like a newborn baby, trying hard to learn to speak. Mary, are you a ship spirit? Mary nodded. What can you do? How do we use the automatic navigation? Tell direction or destination. Upon hearing this, Robin blinked her eyes in surprise and said, Does that mean they will help us sail the ship? I'm not sure about that. Communication is a bit difficult. Luffy thought for a moment and said to the rest of the crew, Next, we're going to hunt down the Thunder God. Usopp, are you going to stay on the ship? There's no need to consider that at all. Usopp immediately jumped off the ship. Following suit, Johnny and Yasaku also jumped off the ship together. Luffy, even though I don't know what a Thunder God is, I really want to help you. But someone needs to stay behind on the Sunny. Leave it to me. Usopp gave a thumbs up and smiled, saying, Have a safe journey. Have a safe journey, Luffy, Zoro, Sanji, Robin. Johnny and Yasaku echoed. Robin smiled lightly and said, What are you afraid of? Don't you have Luffy with you? After the events that had transpired, her confidence in Luffy had reached an extremely high level. After all, he had even repelled a marine admiral. This so-called goddess Skypiea couldn't be that formidable. We do need someone to stay here. Usopp, we'll leave the Sunny to you. Luffy nodded and stood up, saying to Mary, Can you go to the northwest direction, to the Island of Gods? Upon receiving the command, Mary immediately transformed into green particles and merged into the ship's figurehead. In the next moment, the ship started moving. The anchor chain automatically retracted, the sails opened up, and the rudder moved without anyone controlling it. Following the instructions, the Mariejois sailed towards its destination. The people on the ship were all astonished. It's really moving. Luffy, where did you get something like that? It's unbelievable. It's similar to the Six Powers fruit. Really amazing. Ignoring the comments of the three, Luffy suddenly came up with a great idea. If I directly tell Mary to go to La Huder, can we go directly to the final island? After returning to King Hai, we must try it out. After about half an hour of sailing, the island came into view. Unlike Angel Island, the distant island is made up of land. The island is covered with dense forests, and ancient trees can be seen everywhere. Does that thunder god live in this place? Sanji lit a cigarette and stared at the distant scenery. It's a demon fruit power, and he has 4 priests under him. After approaching the coast, Luffy jumped off the ship first. There are remnants of the golden city of Shandora in this place, quite far away. Come along. The 3 of them got off the ship one after another, and as for the Mary, it automatically retracted its sails and dropped anchor. The trees here are really big, several hundred years old? No, even if it's several hundred years, they shouldn't be this tall and thick. Zoro looked around. Under Luffy's lead, the group headed straight for their destination. 400 years ago, the golden city of Shandora, which was carried to the sky by the knock-up stream, was pierced by a huge beanstalk when it reached the highest point and was about to fall. Later, in order to compete for this island from King Hai, the people of Sky Island and the people of Shandora fought a long war. In the end, the people of Sky Island won. The people of Sky Island built a temple on that beanstalk. Luffy concluded. Was it for the gold? Robin frowned. No, the people of Sky Island did it for this land, called Bashador on Sky Island. The people of Shandora were more concerned with guarding the historical text. The historical text. Robin was very interested and wanted to see it with her own eyes. In response, Luffy didn't directly say what the historical text specifically recorded, so as not to disappoint her. At the same time, on the giant beanstalk in the temple, Enel lay on the bed, supporting his head with one hand and holding an apple in the other, casually biting into it. This person from King Hai knows quite a lot. Ha ha ha, interesting. Do you want to come hunt me? He swallowed the apple along with the core, then wiped the fruit crumbs off the corners of his mouth with his thumb. Go inform the priest and bring these 4 people back. Yes, Enel-sama, the servant, who was fat and almost spherical in shape, went off to carry out the order. There's still some time before the completion of the ship, so I'll play with you a little. Person from King Hai. Lost in thought, Enel raised his left hand with his palm facing the sky. Electricity flickered on his body, and the power of raging thunder gathered in his palm, finally striking the sky. Divine punishment. In the forest, Luffy suddenly looked up, a slight smile forming at the corners of his mouth. You guys should move away. The 3 of them looked up and immediately saw a beam of light descending from the sky. Without thinking too much after hearing Luffy's warning, they quickly moved away in all directions. Boom! A 10-meter diameter pillar of light fell, instantly piercing the ground. Luffy. Zoro's expression changed. Luffy, who was accurately hit, was engulfed by the violent power. Robin covered her mouth and said, "This sound, it's the atmosphere expanding at the speed of sound. It's thunder." Thunder? Sanji said dumbfoundedly. Is that the move of the thunder god? The intense lightning came suddenly, but disappeared quickly as well. When the light dissipated, Luffy stood there unharmed, except for a hollow circular area formed outside the spot where his feet stood. The island was pierced through. Are you okay? Zoro looked surprised. Sanji slapped his palm and suddenly realized Luffy is made of rubber, so he's not afraid of electricity. That's how it is. It's not rubber, it's the sun god. Luffy patted the non-existent dust off his body and said, I'm a little annoyed that I was struck by lightning for no reason. You guys can come over slowly. I'll go beat him up first. As he spoke, he had already entered gear second. By the way, on your way here, you might encounter a few priests, so be careful, he warned. Robin whispered, It's not for no reason. Aren't we all going to kill the gods? It's self-defense, right? Indeed, Zoro agreed with a nod. The temple. Enel frowned. Rubber? What's that? He asked. Born on Sky Island. He had never heard of it. In his perception of the mantra, a presence flew towards him at an extremely fast speed. He suddenly looked up and saw a silver light streaking across the sky, then falling into the temple. Enel squinted slightly. Is it a devil fruit user? Good afternoon, God Enel, Luffy greeted with a light laugh. Looking around, he saw dozens of shocked divine soldiers. Who are you? Someone angrily shouted. I'm not here for you, so get out of the way. Luffy glanced at the person, and in an instant, they collapsed with their eyes rolled back. Enel, what's going on? Why did his divine weapon fall? I don't understand. It's like how ordinary people can't understand why physical attacks are ineffective against him. At this moment, he also doesn't understand why his subordinates faint with just a glare from someone. I received a report earlier that there was an illegal immigrant, a man who claimed to be the sun god. Was it you? Luffy grinned and said, Enel, this world doesn't need two gods, and besides, you're a false god. Ha ha, interesting, really interesting. Enel changed his position from lying on his side to sitting cross-legged. His right elbow rested on his knee, his fist supporting his chin, his head slightly tilted, and he looked relaxed. I'm in a good mood, so I'll give you a chance to challenge me. As he spoke, his other hand opened its 5 fingers. 5 minutes, I'll sit here without moving, and you can attack me as much as you want. Pausing for a moment, he added, but after 5 minutes, I will strike again and punish your 3 subordinates. Oh, you're quite particular. Luffy couldn't help but laugh. After a light laugh, his figure moved and disappeared from the original spot. Enel's pupils contracted, shocked in his heart. His haki almost failed to capture the opponent's movement trajectory, let alone predict it. Enel's gaze suddenly became sharp, quickly locking onto the area in front of the bed. That silver-white figure abruptly appeared in his field of vision, with only a fist descending towards his face. The next moment, boom. Enel was bewildered to find that everything in his field of vision suddenly shifted and then tilted at an angle. No, it was his hair that had moved. Before the sensation of pain reached his brain, Enel's head was thrust into the bed beneath him by a punch. It was as if a tea shoot had been uprooted and bent over, with its head buried in the ground. Luffy pulled his fist back and calmly spoke. Don't worry, there's still over 4 minutes left. Zap! In a flash of lightning, Enel's body quickly disappeared from the bed. Luffy turned around and saw Enel holding his crooked jaw, staring at him in disbelief. How did you manage to hit me? Can't handle it? You said you wouldn't move, but you ran away. I even went easy on you. You're really boring. Luffy's face darkened, clearly displeased. Enel's body was surrounded by flickering lightning. He wasn't an idiot. When he realized that Luffy could hit him, sitting there and taking a beating would be foolish. Since obtaining the power of the thunder, he had never been humiliated like this before. Having lost interest in playing, a murderous intent appeared on his face. 30 million volts, Thunderbird. Swinging the staff in his hand, he struck the drum behind him. In the next second, the terrifying power of lightning erupted, giving birth to a Thunderbird that quickly attacked Luffy. Luffy walked towards his opponent expressionlessly. The terrifying Thunderbird landed on him, but it couldn't inflict any damage. Crackling lightning flickered around him as Luffy reached out and actually grabbed the lightning in his hand. What? Enel's eyes were about to pop out. Why would someone be able to catch lightning and energy like this with their bare hands? Can't you understand? If you can't understand, then it's 0.0. Mocking him, Luffy tore apart the Thunderbird that was wrapped around him as if he was tearing off his clothes. Enel immediately showed an expression of disbelief, even suspecting that his eyes were playing tricks on him. How is this possible? My power? What are you? The sun god, your natural enemy. Luffy grabbed the Thunderbird with both hands and kept squeezing it, violently compressing the power of lightning between his hands, eventually turning it into a palm-sized thunderball. In the next moment, he threw it fiercely towards Enel. The thunderball hit Enel and burst into a dazzling light. Boom! The terrifying power of thunder erupted, instantly sweeping through the temple and engulfing everything around it. What a joke! Using thunder to attack me? Using my own power to attack me? I am a god. Enel became furious and released all of his power. 200 million volts, Thunder God. The cloak formed by lightning wrapped around his body, and suddenly, Enel transformed into the form of a thunder god. However, before he could make a move, a beam of white light instantly pierced through his thunder god form. Luffy grabbed Enel's neck with his right hand and with a loud bang, slammed him directly onto the ground. The terrifying lightning still couldn't cause the slightest bit of damage to him. Enel's face became blank. Even among gods, there are differences. Your thunder fruit is indeed powerful, but it pales in comparison to my own fruit. While saying this, Luffy lifted Enel into the air. Enel was shocked to find that he couldn't even transform into an element. The force gripping his neck tightened, making it difficult for him to even convey his voice. Fruits are truly superior to everything. Note, the translation assumes that 0.0 is meant to represent a mocking expression rather than a literal translation. 082 start with Thunder Fruit. The captured Blackbeard gang, an admiral targeting Ace. Rubber, an insulator, is a substance that does not exist in Sky Island. However, the power of billions of volts of lightning cannot be withstood by simple rubber. When faced with ultra-high voltage lightning, insulators also generate high temperatures. The high temperature is enough to melt rubber and cause significant damage. However, the Nika form, also known as the Sun God, is almost immune to flame-type damage. In the original story, the heat breath of 4 Emperors Kaido is enough to wipe out a mountain, but when it hits Luffy, it only turns his body black, and he can recover in a few seconds. Similarly, because he is a sun god and possesses rubber properties, he can also catch lightning with his bare hands. This is a complete and total restraint on the thunder fruit from top to bottom. Calling it a natural enemy is not an exaggeration. At this moment, Luffy pinches Enel's neck and lifts him up. The fruit is truly superior to everything else. Enel cannot move and struggles to breathe. Overwhelmed by the overwhelming power, he can't even think about how to escape. As Luffy tightens his 5 fingers, his consciousness begins to fade. Where's the ship you are building that can fly? Taking advantage of the fact that Enel hasn't passed out yet, Luffy calmly asks, "Did you use Skypia's gold to build that ship?" Enel grabs Luffy's wrist and tries to move his mouth, but can only make a faint sound. "Your purpose is a ship? I happen to need a ship recently, and the number of crew members is increasing. Just for a ship?" Veins pop up on Enel's forehead. "Let go." "That won't do. If I let go, you will escape by elementalization. The speed of lightning is still very fast, and even I might not be able to catch up. Even if I can catch up, it would be a waste of time. The Mariejois does have a pair of seastone handcuffs, but I don't have them on me." Luffy can only use armament hockey to hold onto Enel's true form, so that this long-eared guy doesn't escape. "Tell me, where is the ship? If you don't tell me, I can have someone find it." As he spoke, Luffy raised an eyebrow and glanced towards the outside of the temple. Accompanied by the roar of a certain beast, an old man in armor rode a flying Pegasus and approached with a long spear in hand. Gonfal, who had noticed the disturbance in the temple, arrived at this moment and witnessed a shocking scene. 6 years and 25 years ago, Enel, who had taken his temple and stolen the power of the gods, was now like a dead dog, being held up by another man by the neck. "Who are you?" Gonfal asked in shock. A silver figure, white hair burning like flames, a face never seen before. "An outsider?" Luffy withdrew his gaze from the other person and immediately unleashed armament hockey. Hockey flowed through the hand holding Enel, directly entering his body. Internal destruction. Boom! Enel groaned, his spine instantly shattered, and armament hockey destroyed his internal organs. Blood overflowed from his mouth, staining a large area on his chest. Enel lost consciousness, his eyes devoid of spirit, and his head drooped. "He's dead," Gonfal exclaimed, wide-eyed. "What did this white man do?" At the same time, the thunder fruit, hanging from Luffy's waist, prevented the thunder fruit from reincarnating. After Enel's death, The power that should have been reborn somewhere in the world was absorbed by the thunder fruit. Subsequently, the shape of the fruit changed, and complex spiral patterns appeared on its surface. It turned into the thunder fruit. After completing all this, Luffy threw Enel's body aside and sat down on the bed. Crossing his legs, he casually picked up an apple next to him. Taking a bite, he asked, "Are you the original god? What was your name again?" Ganfu. "Who are you?" Ganfu snapped back to reality, jumping off the heavenly horse and landing next to Enel. With a glance, he confirmed that the other party was really dead. He actually died. Enel, who ruled this sky island for 6 years, died so mysteriously. The situation was too bizarre, and he still couldn't believe it. "I'm the god of the sun, Monkey D. Luffy. Is that so? Are you also here to rule this country?" Ganfu's heart sunk. One god died, and now another god appeared? "No, I'm not interested in your country. I'm just passing through." Luffy shook his head and said, "The person at your feet happens to have something I need. It's not that he's not interested in ruling, but he's not interested in ruling just a sky island. It's too insignificant. Only Enel would be so bored." Ganfu paused for a moment, then realized something was wrong. "Are you from King Hai? I heard that 3 pirate ships came here before." Luffy neither confirmed nor denied, and said frankly, "I know you. You were the ruler of this sky island before, the former god." "Yes." Ganfu nodded and admitted his identity. 6 years ago, Enel forcibly occupied this place with his subordinates and subjected the people of this country to terrifying oppression. After destroying his hometown, a sky island called Burka, he came here. Luffy, of course, knew the story behind all this, but he wasn't interested in saying much. He waved his hand and said, "I can return your country to you. I will leave afterwards, and I'm not particularly interested in your sky island. But there are 2 conditions." Upon hearing this, Ganfu trembled all over. "Really? You liberated this country, killed Enel. You are our hero. Even if it's 2 conditions, I will do my best to help you fulfill them." Happiness came too suddenly. For these 6 years, he had always wanted to resist, but his power was too weak, and he was no match for Enel at all. He couldn't even defeat the priests under Enel's command. So when he heard Luffy say this, he agreed without hesitation. Condition 1. Enel stole Skypia's gold and built a ship on this island. It should be hidden in a cave. Help me find it. Condition 2. When we entered the country, my navigator paid over 2 million in entry fees. Please return it to her, otherwise she will have a hard time in the next few days. Upon hearing this, Ganfu was stunned. Is this also a condition? Could it be that this person is actually a good person? He thought that the other party would demand some compensation, such as asking each Sky Islander to contribute money or valuable items, or even offer some beautiful women or slaves. After all, the other party is a pirate. These are the conditions that pirates like to mention. Is that all? Ganfu asked incredulously. That's it. I'm not interested in anything else. Luffy finished eating an apple, threw the core aside, and smiled. By the way, that ship should not be completely finished yet, so please help finish it. Enel's goal is to sail his ship to the moon and establish a true divine kingdom. Since he hasn't left yet, it means the ship is not yet finished. But it shouldn't take much longer, probably just a day or 2. Luffy-sama, understand. I will do it immediately. Ganfu took a deep breath, confirmed that this guy was really a good person, and immediately jumped onto his heavenly horse and flew into the sky. Watching him fly away, Luffy finally had time to take out the thunder fruit and examine it carefully. The ship Enel built is a spaceship that can fly to the moon, but its power source is lightning, and it relies on the thunder fruit. Thunder for Nami, rain for Vivi, plus Enel's ship, perfect. With this, the Straw Hat crew now has 2 Logia users. Of course, they still can't compare to the 4 Emperors crew. Luffy himself can indeed reach the level of the 4 Emperors in terms of combat power, but his subordinates are far behind the other 4 Emperors' crews. I wonder what those 2 are doing now. South Lovely Avenue. Nami, along with the members of the 2nd Division and her sister, Nefertari Vivi, and Miss Kaya, happily strolled through the streets of Sky Island, attracting curious glances from the locals. Sky Island has developed a unique civilization, with many everyday items built on shells. There are many types of shells on Sky Island. Wind shells, cloud shells, sound shells, water shells, light shells, laser shells, impact shells, and so on, making for a dazzling array. Nami and the others, who had never seen such novel things before, went on a shopping spree. Fortunately, Belly is the world currency and is also accepted on Sky Island. After buying a bunch of different types of Sky Island shells, the group of women continued to explore the clothing stores. Nami, did you forget our original purpose? Nefertari Vivi said helplessly. You bought enough already. Look at them. They can barely carry everything. Hee. Let's buy some clothes for Luffy too. He only has a few outfits. Nami stuck out her tongue and silently put down the latest trendy dress from Sky Island, then turned to look at the members of the second division. Each of them was carrying large and small bags, and the situation suddenly became difficult. We've spent too much money. We need to find gold first and earn the money back. At this moment, a group of men wearing white shell hats quickly burst into the store. Seeing this group of people, the people of Sky Island, including the store clerks, became nervous. Are you tourists from King High? Upon hearing the voice, Nami and the others turned their gaze towards it. The leader of the men raised his right hand, with his index finger and pinky finger raised, placed it on top of his head, and made a greeting gesture unique to the people of Sky Island. Hey, S.A. Asa, I am Captain McKinley of the White Shell Brigade, and I come from the temple as an oracle. Among you, who is Nami? McKinley's gaze swept over the crowd and finally settled on Nami. It's me, what's the matter? Nami stood up. We paid to enter the country and are legal tourists. That's not important. Since you are Nami, come with me to the temple to meet the gods. The captain said solemnly, consider yourself honored, people from King High. Even we find it difficult to see the divine countenance. You have the opportunity to do so, so be grateful. Huh? What? Nami laughed, finding it strange that a god suddenly appeared and wanted her to meet him. Do you want to resist? God will bring down sanctions, McKinley said in a deep voice. At this moment, a member of the second team, Mr. 1, stepped forward silently and stood in front of Nami. Immediately after, Mr. 3 jumped out and said, be careful with your tone, Sky Island people. Miss Nami is Luffy's. Step back, Mr. 3. Yes, Miss Nami. Mr. 3 quickly took 2 steps back. Nami crossed her arms and asked with interest, the god you mentioned should know where the gold is, right? Gold. McKinley was confused. Golden City, never mind. Take me there. Nami was ready to ask in person about the god, who seemed to hold a high position and surely knew something. The temple. Luffy lay on the bed and yawned. His observation haki could cover the entire island, including Angel Island. What Enel could do, he could do something similar. However, without the Thunder Fruit, he couldn't hear exactly what Nami was saying. They came towards this island. Luffy raised his eyebrows and shook his head. The Sky Island people brought them here, using the Milky Road, right? After going through so much trouble to find the gold, it turned out that the gold had been turned into a ship. He was quite looking forward to Nami's expression afterwards. As for the other side, Robin, Zoro, and Sanji had already entered the ruins of Shandora. They encountered 4 priests and were now engaged in a fierce battle. To be precise, it was Zoro and Sanji fighting against 4. Robin was busy exploring the ruins. As for Zoro, it's fine, but can Sanji handle it? He only knows the 6 styles. Luffy observed with great interest. His observation haki can only detect auras, and from the strength of the auras, he can barely outline the situation of a battle. As long as a person is alive, their body will emit sound. Kinbunchika haki is the ability to capture these sounds and achieve various unimaginable things. At an advanced level, it can even predict the immediate future, just as the Straw Hat crew landed on Sky Island and defeated God Enel. Below, in the blue sea on the Grand Line, on the deck of a warship, Akiji Admiral, are we really going back like this? Said a colonel with a speechless expression. I have no choice. They've all gone up to the sky, Akiji replied, lying on the Sun 837 chair, wearing an eye mask, sounding helpless, as if he were serious. But they will definitely be scolded by the fleet admiral. How about we patrol this sea area for a while? The Straw Hat crew will eventually come down, right? The colonel suggested. Come down? Akiji took off his eye mask and glanced at his subordinate. So what if they come down? He couldn't really do anything to Straw Hat Luffy. After all, he is Vice Admiral Garp's grandson, and out of respect for his master, he couldn't do much. If they were determined to protect Nico Robin, all he could do was shrug and admit defeat. And to be honest, he wasn't very interested in capturing Nico Robin either. It has been 20 years, and the government claimed she was the key to releasing demons. But the world hasn't changed much. I don't know what to do either, Akiji said, a little confused as he put his mask back on. The position of the Marines, the relationship between master and disciple, the slight guilt over what happened in the past, the confusion over Saul's choice. At that moment, the din-din mushi made a buzzing sound. The colonel picked up the receiver, and the voice of the fleet admiral came from the other end. Akiji, how is the situation? Akiji lay still and lazily said, Sorry, they got away. Don't joke with me. With your strength? You're telling me someone got away? If you're going to make excuses, at least come up with a better one. I'm the one who reports to the higher-ups. Sengoku imitated the tone and demeanor of a telephone bug. I couldn't help it. That Straw Hat Luffy has the power of Conqueror's Haki. No one in the intelligence reports told me about that. Akiji used one of his 3 workplace skills, shifting blame. What did you say? Sengoku's attention was indeed diverted, his tone shocked. Impossible. How is this possible? Garp's grandson is still so young. On this vast sea, a power that only a few true, strong individuals can master is actually controlled by a mere teenager? That be Akiji. Could he be lying? No. Although Akiji is lazy, he wouldn't tell such lies. Sitting in the fleet admiral's office, Sengoku was momentarily stunned. After a quiet moment, he took a deep breath and said, Put that matter aside for now. I have a more important task for you. If you complete this, the government won't have anything to say. Admirals really have busy lives. Akiji touched his abdominal injury and helplessly said, What is it? The intelligence department of the Crane has obtained sighting information on Fire Fist Ace. You need to go immediately and bring him back. This time, no fooling around. Understand, for the world government, compared to long-term threats like Nico Robin, it was obviously more urgent to deal with Fire Fist Ace in the current situation. Whitebeard's captain. Understood. After cutting off the communication, Akiji stood up and selected a bike from several on the deck. He rode off. You guys go back to headquarters first. I'll go carry out the mission. What about the pirates we caught yesterday? Send them to prison. They're just small fry. Understood. 083 Showdown, Nami and Vivi's Choice. Bells resounding through the sky. The night on Sky Island is more beautiful than the night in King High. A crescent moon gradually rises in the night sky, and the sparkling starlight seems to be mischievous children opening their eyes, twinkling overhead. Luffy yawned and boredly lay on the bed in the temple. Awake. Raising an eyebrow, Luffy sat up and looked at the scattered divine soldiers lying on the ground in the temple. In addition to dozens of divine soldiers wearing white clothes, there were also 2 divine maidens on both sides of the bed, who used to serve Enel, the person from Sky Island. These people all have a pair of small wings on their backs, which are decorations. At this moment, these people woke up one after another and were shocked to see the mess in the temple. Looking up, they saw Luffy sitting on the bed. Who are you? Where is Lord Enel? One of the fat men exclaimed in panic and hunger. Behind you. Luffy pointed with his hand. Everyone looked and immediately saw Enel's body, their faces turning pale. Lord Enel, dead. A few of you clean up the temple, and you... Saying that, Luffy looked at the divine maiden who had just woken up beside him and ordered, Go prepare some food. The divine maiden looked confused, but still instinctively followed the order. Before long, Luffy took control of the entire temple. Originally, this place was not big, and there weren't many people in total. After realizing the fact of Enel's death, they immediately knelt down to a stronger person. The divine maidens created a snow-white dining table with cloud shells and served various delicacies and wines. Only then did Luffy start to enjoy them. Not long after, Two men and a woman walked in from outside the door. When Robin and the other two successfully entered the temple, they were instantly stunned by the scene before them. Luffy, are you here? Are you hungry? It's dinner time. But the taste is not as good as what Sanji makes. Luffy looked at the three of them. Sanji was covered in injuries, supported by Zoro, while Robin seemed to be fine. The three of them sat at the table one after another. They hadn't eaten anything all day and were starving. How do you feel? Luffy smiled and asked Sanji. The priest's fighting ability is indeed strong. It's manageable in a one-on-one situation, but in a two-on-one situation, I'm glad I have mastered the Tempest Kick. Sanji shook his head. He felt a sense of urgency. That guy with the green algae hair dealt with two people very easily. Because he had mastered observation haki, he was not at a disadvantage even against the priest's mind network. In comparison, his kicking technique couldn't hit anyone when dealing with two people attacking him. They all dodged it. If it wasn't for the final move, the Tempest Kick, he would have been defeated by those two. Luffy, why do those priests call observation haki mind network? Maybe because it sounds good? Haki is a relatively rare power in the first half of the Grand Line. They probably don't know that the ability they have mastered is actually called observation haki, Luffy guessed. At this moment, Robin took out a notebook from her bag and handed it to Luffy. This is a record I found in the ruins of Shandora. It's written in ancient text. Keep the true meaning in your heart. Remain silent. We are weavers of history, in sync with the bell of the Great Bell Tower. She continued, according to the text, Shandora was destroyed in order to protect the true history. In the center of the four altars, there's a great bell tower, also known as the Golden Bell, where the true contents are recorded. She sighed, propping her chin with one hand, staring straight at Luffy with a faint smile. I couldn't find it. I searched through the ruins, but I couldn't find the Great Bell Tower. Captain Luffy, can you tell me? As she spoke, she took off her high heels and quietly stretched her legs, lightly rubbing against Luffy. A small action completely hidden under the table. Luffy reached out and grabbed her foot, giving her a tickling massage on the sole of her foot. Do I still need to tell you? You can definitely guess where it is, Luffy said. Robin, unable to tease him, was instead teased. Her expression couldn't hide how itchy she felt. Want to pull back, but being firmly held. She could only grit her teeth and endure. Is it above this temple? At the top of the beanstalk? Yeah, Luffy nodded. Sensing the subtlety in her tone, Sanji asked in confusion, What's wrong, Miss Robin? Nothing. Robin exerted force and finally pulled her foot back. Luffy turned the tables and immediately laughed. I'll take you up later. You dared to tease me without consequences, and you even eavesdropped and peeked when I was intimate with Vivi. You're such a bad woman. Zoro drank heavily and ate heartily, while Sanji pretended not to notice. Therefore, only the two of them knew about their little actions. Soon, under the guidance of the White Beret, Nami and the others arrived outside the temple. Luffy had the guards bring them in. Upon seeing Luffy and the others, Nami was instantly stunned. God? Why are you here, Luffy? If you're talking about the god, they're over there, already taken care of. Have you found the gold after waiting for half a day? Nami gave him a disdainful look and walked over. She picked up a glass of wine and drank it heartily. I seriously thought about it. Luffy, you knew, didn't you? Yet you still made me go. Damn it. I really want to bite him to death. The others also came over one after another and sat at the table to eat. Knowing that they would come, Luffy specifically had the goddess prepare a large table big enough for everyone to sit. Aren't you all having a great time? Luffy couldn't help but laugh. Indeed, I bought a lot of things, but I spent a lot of money. Nami picked up a few shopping bags from Valentine and said, I bought you new clothes. You suddenly grew taller, and your old clothes don't fit anymore. Upon hearing this, Luffy was slightly taken aback. A woman who would buy him clothes and could think of this. Besides his mother in his previous life, she was the second one. He couldn't help but feel grateful in his heart. It wasn't in vain to care for this girl. Thanks, Nami. I'll take you to find the gold later. Nami showed a happy expression and handed the shopping bags to Valentine, then sat down next to Luffy. After everyone finished dinner, Luffy took Law and found the Golden Bell. The historical text that had existed for 800 years was embedded in the base of the bell tower and had been abandoned for 400 years. No one took care of it, and now it was covered in moss. Robin walked up to the historical text and touched the words on it. Poseidon, the ancient weapon with the name of a god. She murmured softly, and after reading the entire content, she sighed regretfully. This historical text records the location of another ancient instrument. It's not what I wanted to know. Pluton from Alabasta, according to what Crocodile said, was a battleship that could destroy an entire island with a single shot. And there were still weapons like this. Such a dangerous thing is now sleeping somewhere in the world. Is this the reason she is being hunted by the government? With an unsettled mind, Robin slowly turned around, and under the moonlight, she looked at Luffy with her dark eyes. The specific location is written on it, Luffy. Do you want to know? The Fishman Island. Huh? Robin was immediately stunned. After being in a daze for a while, she frowned and whispered, "Although I find it unlikely, Luffy, can you actually understand it? I just happen to know, that's all. Are you worried that I will awaken the ancient weapon and bring disaster to this world?" Luffy chuckled and shook his head. "Do you think this world is reasonable right now?" Without waiting for Robin's answer, he walked to the right side of the main text of history and pointed to another piece of text engraved on a golden frame in the corner. Robin noticed his action and followed his gaze, immediately showing a surprised expression. "I came here and led this text to its final destination. The Pirate King, Joel D. Roger. A message from the Pirate King? Why would it appear here?" Robin had too many doubts. "Luffy, about 800 years ago, the Void Century, you must know something, right? Can you tell me? Do you like secondhand information? Are you in a hurry?" Robin stared blankly at the other person. Luffy smiled and said, "I know a little, but not much." "Why rush, Robin? On my ship, you are safe. No one can threaten your life. Keep up with me and see the truth of history with your own eyes. Isn't that your dream?" After speaking, he turned and left. "What are you still standing there for? Keep up, or do you want to go down by yourself?" "Yes, Luffy." Robin smiled slightly and followed him with a jog. Such a reliable captain. The next day, Gonfall came to report that he had found Enel's shipbuilding base. At the same time, he also found the 650 former subordinates. These people were captured by Enel and forced to labor for the past 6 years to build his ships. Luffy, along with the Straw Hat crew, followed Gonfall and arrived at a cave. The entrance of the cave was large, with a white cloth hanging in front with the word God written on it. The group entered the cave and walked through a distance, arriving at an open space. A huge and uniquely shaped ship was lying there quietly. "Art Proverbs," Gonforu explained. According to the shipbuilders, Enel named this ship the Ark Proverbs. "What a big ship!" Nami exclaimed, her eyes shining. "So much gold. The hull of the ship is made of wood, but it is embedded with a lot of gold, used as a conductor. But it's so ugly," she continued. "Luffy, do you really want to use this ship? The Mariejois is too small, and the size of the keel also determines that it cannot be transformed into a larger ship. Isn't this ship good? It can fly," Luffy said. Speaking of which, Luffy asked Gonforu, "Is it finished?" "It will take one more day, just the final decoration left." "Then please, wait a minute. Can we make some changes?" The huge character is ugly, and the control device on the front is also ugly. How much gold has been wasted? It has no aesthetic appeal. At least paint our Straw Hat Pirates flag on it, Nami firmly suggested. Everyone looked at Luffy, waiting for the captain's decision. "If we want to make changes, we might as well go to Water 7. They have the world's best shipyard." "Since you say so, then let's listen to you. But at least change that character to the pirate flag. Don't you think it's ugly, Luffy?" Nami asked. After hearing Nami's words, Luffy had to admit that it did look a bit ugly. The others also nodded, praising Nami's suggestion. "Then let's make the changes. How long will it take?" 3 days, Gonforu replied. "Then we'll wait for 3 days. Nami, Vivi, come with me. As for the others, you can go back to the Sunny Go. Zoro, use the revolving heaven to bring the Mariejois to the beach." "Understood." Afterwards, Luffy, Vivi, and Nami returned to the temple. "Did you leave us behind on purpose, Luffy-sama? Is there something important?" Vivi glanced at Nami quietly, feeling uneasy. Could it be that he wants to confess to Miss Nami? She wasn't mentally prepared for it. Would Miss Nami get angry? Nami smiled and asked, Luffy, what's the matter? Take these 2 devil fruits, Luffy said, taking out the Yami Yami no Mi and the Thunder Fruit, and explaining them. After listening, both women showed shocked expressions. A Logia devil fruit. This is a very rare thing, right? Nami murmured, looking at the Thunder Fruit in her hands, her face somewhat dazed. The Yami Yami no Mi. Vivi was moved to the point of tears. This fruit was worth more than billions and trillions to Alabasta. Such a rare thing. Mr. Luffy must have paid a great price to obtain it, right? She couldn't help but throw herself into Luffy's arms, even forgetting that Nami was right beside her. Thank you, Mr. Luffy. Nami fell silent. Although she had suspected it before, she hadn't paid much attention to it. Now, seeing Luffy take out 2 rare Logia fruits and give them to her and Vivi, she understood. She recalled what her sister, Nojiko, had said back on Little Garden. Take good care of you, man. She sighed silently in her heart. Upon careful consideration, she realized that she was just a woman born in a small village, while Vivi was a princess and Luffy came from a prestigious family. Nami, Luffy ruffled Vivi's hair and said, even if you want to run away, I won't let you. Upon hearing these words, Vivi, who was immersed to her emotions, suddenly snapped back to reality. Her face turned pale. She broke free from Luffy's embrace and turned to Nami, stuttering, I am sorry, Miss Nami. It was my fault. That day It's okay. Nami took Vivi's hand and smiled, saying, Daughters of the sea don't care about such things. Saying that, she looked at Luffy again, pouting in dissatisfaction. Damn guy, he's really popular with women. How long have you known Vivi? About a month and a half. It seems like it's been about the same amount of time for me too. Don't be angry. Luffy smiled slightly and reached out to embrace the 2 women. I like both of you equally. In order to settle this matter, he spent a whopping 9,800 adventure coins. Vivi didn't resist his actions at all, and even felt a little happy, but Nami struggled a bit and eventually allowed herself to be held. Luffy, I've decided not to talk to you for 3 days. Nami huffed and said, Vivi, you should do the same. Don't let him get in bed with you. Huh? Vivi's face turned red. Nami, Miss Nami, really knows how to say bold things. Afterwards, Nami broke free from the embrace and ran off with Vivi. She said she wouldn't talk to him for 3 days, but she came back that same night, forcibly pulling Vivi along. The 3 of them slept together. According to Nami's theory, the best way to keep a close eye on her man was to dry up the well. Naturally, Luffy couldn't tolerate this provocation and punished the 2 of them severely. 3 days later, the Ark Maxim was completely built, and a huge straw hat pirate flag was painted on the side of the ship. Nami, who had eaten the Thunder Fruit, activated this enormous vessel. However, since she had just eaten the fruit, her ability development was still lacking compared to Enel's. But sailing the ship was not a problem. The enormous Ark Maxim sailed out from the top of the mountain cave and arrived at the uppermost area of Skypiea. Standing at the highest point, they looked out over the entire Sky Island and the blue sea below. Luffy punched the golden bell. Zong, the heavy sound of the bell spread in all directions, echoing through the sky, and finally reaching the blue sea, reaching Jaya Island. Thanks to Cristiano for the monthly ticket and also requesting flowers and full subscriptions. 084 The Era of Rampage. The prologue of the Summit War. End of Sky Island Chapter Dong. Zong. When the first bell sound spread in all directions and the lingering sound filled the air, the second bell sound rang again. The Ark's proverb. Nami and Vivi stood at the edge, watching Luffy ringing the bell, both showing puzzled expressions. Luffy? What are you doing? Telling Curie Guy that the Golden Village is real. The sound of this bell can reach the underwater island of Gaia, 10,000 meters below. Luffy answered loudly while throwing another punch. Zong. The third bell sound rang. Vivi covered her ears. Up close, the sound of the golden bell was very heavy. How many times do we need to ring it? 16 times. 8 times symbolized the end of the old year, the end of the past, 8 times symbolize the arrival of the new year, welcoming the future. Oh, I see. Vivi nodded understandingly and smiled. Do you need any help? Nami, on the other hand, had a different focus. She blinked her eyes and stared at the golden bell, cunningly saying, Luffy, take a closer look. This bell is made of gold. Can we take it? Are you a devil? It has been guarded by the Shandorans for 800 years. It would be too cruel to take it away, especially when you already have a ship full of gold. Luffy's face was full of helplessness. To say it's a little is not quite right. The golden bell, including the large bell tower outside, is made of at least several hundred tons of gold. It's just that compared to the gold used by the Ark's proverb, it is indeed a little. But aren't they already dead? Who told you they're dead? They're alive and well. Huh, they're still alive? Nami was startled. In the clouds of this divine island, there is a little-known village called Cloud Shinobi Village. Descendants of Shandora, they all live there. They're here. Luffy grinned, using his Kinbunchika haki to sense the numerous auras appearing on the island, rapidly approaching this way. Boom! One after another, the sound of bells continuously rang out. In the forest, a group of warriors dressed like Native Americans, wearing special power shoes, swiftly shuttled through the woods. They heard the sound of bells, their faces filled with indescribable excitement. Do you hear that? Wapu, it's the sound of the great bell tower. I hear it, the sound that hasn't been heard in 400 years. Kamachiri, hurry, it's in the direction of the beanstalk. They raced forward, and every so often, they could hear the tolling of a bell. A total of 16 times. When they arrived beneath the beanstalk, the crowd saw a man standing next to the great bell tower. Above a man's head was an incredibly huge flying ship. The side of the ship was painted with a pirate flag. Before they could speak, Luffy spoke first. 230. This is your great bell tower. 400 years ago, it came to the sky along with this island, and the golden bell fell to the top of the beanstalk. I help you take it down? No need to thank me. As compensation, I took all the remaining gold of the golden city of Shandora. A fair and just trade. Who are you? The man named Wapu couldn't believe his ears. The sun god, Monkey D. Luffy. I've returned your things, so I'll take my leave now. Descendants of Shandora. Smiling, Luffy lightly leaped onto the Arc Maxim. Wapu shouted, Wait, what exactly happened? I felt something strange on the way here. Where are the priests? Where is God, Enel? Just then, a Pegasus flew down from the sky, with Gonfall riding it, shouting, Luffy-sama, have you made your decision? Luffy-sama. Wapu widened his eyes, as if he had seen an enemy. Luffy waved his hand and said goodbye, Gonfall. This group of people still doesn't know anything, so you tell them. You and your group have been fighting for 400 years. It's time to take a break. Nami, let's go. The Arc Maxim slowly rose in height and headed towards Angel Beach. Goodbye, Sun God. I wish you smooth sailing. Gonfall made a Sky Island farewell gesture before jumping down from his heavenly horse. Let me tell you about what happened 3 days ago. Angel Beach. When the Arc Maxim flew over Angel Island and arrived above the beach, all the Sky Islanders were shaken. The news of Enel's death had already spread throughout the island 3 days ago. Everyone clapped and danced with joy. Sun God, Luffy. Someone shouted Luffy's name and waved continuously towards the arc in the sky. Nami stood by the ship, supporting her chin and smiling. A few days ago, when we were strolling on Lovely Street, whenever the gods were mentioned, the people here would show a fearful expression. But today, they voluntarily called you the Sun God. Vivi exclaimed and stared below, saying, It's Usopp and the others. On Lovely Street, the three of them saw Usopp and Chopper. While they were waiting in the temple for the arc to be completed, the others have been enjoying themselves on this Angel Island for a few days. Luffy. Usopp waved and greeted continuously. We're about to set sail. Usopp, can't you leave your wife behind? Nami said with a smile. UBD, don't even think about leaving me behind like in Logue Town. Hurry up and pull me up, Luffy. And me too, Luffy. Let me on the ship. Chopper also waved and called out. Haha, I can't forget you guys. Luffy waved his hand and pulled the two of them from the street onto the ship. As soon as they got on the ship, the two of them were dazzled by a pile of gold. Wow, gold! New ship. The two immediately held hands and started dancing on the deck. Gold, gold, gold. New ship, new ship, new ship. You two idiots are so noisy. Nami walked over and punched the two hard. Where are the others? They're at the beach, Usopp said, holding his swollen head. Zoro and the others are training. Sanji is recovering. Chopper replied tremblingly. The two looked at each other, scared. Nami might have awakened her haki, and getting punched by her would really hurt. Soon, the Arc Maxim arrived at Angel Beach. Luffy, Luffy-sama, Big Brother Luffy. Everyone immediately gathered together and came over to greet him. Seeing that the Arc Maxim could really fly, everyone couldn't help but be amazed. A flying ship, everyone was seeing it for the first time, and it was huge, more than 10 times bigger than the Sunny. Get ready, we're about to set off, Nami said confidently. The log pose is already pointing to the next island. It's time to say goodbye here. Wait, this ship can fly. What about the Sunny and the Mary? Usopp opened his mouth wide. Luffy, you're not going to abandon those two ships, are you? How could I? Zoro, Sanji, and all of you bring the Sunny and the Mary on board. We'll first return to the waters near Water 7 and bring Laboon along, then head to the next island. Luffy waved his big hand and gave the captain's order. Oh, immediately, everyone started moving quickly. Looking around, Luffy didn't see Bellamy's ship. It seemed that the group of pirates had already left ahead of them. While they were busy, the people from the Middle Island also arrived at the beach. Out of gratitude, many people sent some Sky Island specialties. The White Beret Brigade, led by Captain McKinley, returned the over 2 million berries that were previously paid upon entry to Nami, as promised. Hey there. He waved his hand in greeting. Thank you for everything you've done. We have learned everything from Gonfall. You are the liberators of Sky Island, the sun god Luffy. Hey there. The Straw Hat crew imitated his gesture and bowed. Welcome back to this country next time. We will no longer charge you an entry fee. McKinley grinned. Mr. Monkey D, Luffy, thank you once again. Luffy waved his hand and said to his crew, set sail, everyone. Giant Island, Eastern Coast. Apes and monkeys gathered behind Kureha Guy, their faces filled with astonishment as they looked at the sky. Boss, it's a round ship. It's the shadow of a ship. Kureha Guy smiled and looked up at the sky. The shape of the huge ship projected on the clouds had a group of people standing side by side on its deck. Even if it was just a silhouette, he could recognize each person from it. Kureha Guy focused his gaze on the person in the middle, the one wearing a straw hat. Monkey D. Luffy. I have heard it. Thank you. Shandora, it really exists. With joy on his face, he closed the book in his hand, stood up, and said to the apes and monkeys, so, next, I will pursue the next romance. Will you all come with me? We will follow you for the rest of our lives, boss. The Arc Maxim returned to the sea near Giant Island from the White Sea 10,000 meters above. It took the crew an afternoon to find Laboon. Fortunately, Laboon's size was large enough that it was easy to spot when it surfaced. Afterwards, they followed the direction of the log pose and headed towards the next island. As for the Going Merry and the Thousand Sunny, they were released and returned to the sea. As the captain, Luffy reassigned the crew members to each ship. Main ship, Sunny. The residents are all females. No need for changes for now. The space is still not enough. Second ship, Mary, captained by the first mate Zoro. The crew includes Sanji, Usopp, Chopper, Joseph, and Johnny. Third ship, Arc Maxim, temporarily captained by the second mate Bartolomeo. The crew includes the 5 male agents. With the new ship, everyone is happy, no longer needing to squeeze into Mary. On the contrary, it feels a bit empty. After all, Arc Maxim is really big, although most of the internal areas of the ship were originally designed to install complex power structures. But even so, there's still a large living space. 7 days later, after sailing in the Sea of Paradise for 7 days, you will receive a reward of 70 adventure points. Arc Maxim bow deck. This big ship requires a lot of maintenance. Luffy, we need professional shipwrights, and 1 or 2 people are not enough, at least 5 people, right? Nami suggested. 5 people. Luffy fell into deep thought. There are indeed many shipwrights in the seven-water metropolis, and Frankie, the cyborg, is certainly a target, but maintaining 3 ships alone would obviously be difficult for him. Let's wait until we reach the seven-water metropolis and see. By the way, we also need to modify this ship, Luffy said. After a pause, he continued, we're about to reach the next island, and I plan to stay for a while and do a little experiment. Luffy, what kind of experiment? Joseph asked curiously. About improving your strength. As we go further into the Grand Line, the enemies we face will become stronger. I want you to have the strength to stand on your own as soon as possible. Training together? Zoro grinned with interest. With a light laugh, Luffy calmly said, we need Chopper's power. We've made some progress in the past 2 days. Anyway, let's talk about it when we get there. Leaving a cliffhanger, Luffy walked to the bow of Arc Maxim and looked calmly into the distance. In his field of vision, an island was already faintly visible. Suddenly, he was slightly startled and took off the straw hat hanging around his neck, taking out a piece of paper from it. Ace's life card. At this moment, a corner of this paper has already started to burn. Injured, Luffy squinted slightly and thought to himself. Did he encounter Blackbeard? What's wrong, Luffy? Robin walked over with a smile on her face. The era is about to go wild. Luffy smiled faintly and put away the life card. Naval Headquarters, Enies Lobby, and Impel Down, they're known as the 3 major institutions under the world government. At this moment, Impel Down, also known as Impel Down, this is the world's #1 prison, located in the Calm Belt. As the name suggests, it is a sea area without any wind movement. They're located on both sides of the Grand Line, completely separating the Grand Line from the 4 seas. In a prison established in such a place, ordinary ships cannot reach unless they have the ability to fly. Even if some merchant ships dare to enter, the sea kings that inhabit this sea area will cause huge trouble. Of course, all of this is nothing to the Marines. Among the 3 major institutions, there is a special triangular sea current, and each institution has a huge gate standing in front of it, the Gate of Justice. On this day, a warship arrived and sent 4 prisoners into the prison through the Gate of Justice. Under the push and shove of the prison guards, the 4 newcomers underwent the baptism before entering the prison. There are no human rights here. The 4 people were stripped clean and pushed into a boiling hot pot at 100 degrees for the first round of disinfection. Suddenly, screams filled the air. Among them, the person who screamed the loudest had an ugly appearance and was missing 7 or 8 teeth. The prison guards outside the hot pot immediately complained. Last time Crocodile came in, he didn't even frown. This guy screams worse than slaughtering a pig. I heard that he's a pirate caught by Admiral Akiji, and the total bounty for the 4 of them is 0. Huh? A new rookie pirates who have just set sail, huh? They're really unlucky to encounter Admiral Akiji. The prison guards burst into laughter. Afterwards, the 4 individuals who had undergone high-temperature disinfection were sent to the interrogation room and subjected to a period of questioning. Because they were not important figures, the interrogation did not waste much time. The guards simply stamped their registration books. Finally, the 4 individuals were each sent to different prison cells. IV-1 Crimson Hell. Teach, this is your prison cell. Get in. The guard kicked the toothless, ugly pirate inside. Blackbeard fell to the ground, panting heavily. UBD, I almost died. Who came up with the torture method of 100 degrees Celsius disinfection? Magellan, shut up and behave. Pirates have no human rights here. Newbie pirates like you will be taught a lesson by other prisoners. Don't make too much noise with your screams. Spitting out a mouthful of saliva, the guard turned and walked away. Heh. Blackbeard grinned, wiping the saliva off his face. Although it wasn't intentional, is this also fate? You are, from Whitebeard's ship. The lazy BD who doesn't sleep. Suddenly, a scream came from behind. Blackbeard froze, a flash of killing intent passing through his eyes. After finally getting in here, how could his identity be exposed? He squinted his eyes and turned around to look. He saw a clown with a red nose staring at him in astonishment. You're that brat from Roger's ship. What's your name? Red Nose Buggy. What? Who are you calling Red Nose? Buggy became furious and headbutt Blackbeard's forehead. Over 20 years ago, our Roger pirates and your Whitebeard pirates fought for 3 days and 3 nights. I haven't forgotten your face, UBD. Ha ha. Meeting in a place like this, it's fate, Buggy. How about teaming up with me? Team up? What do you mean? Escape. Note, I deleted some unnecessary content from the Sky Island arc, so it's about 50 to 60,000 words. The previous 2 arcs were 100,000 words each. The next one will be the Summit War, Golden 085 Gathering Practice. Challenge from the Fork West Blue Bandits. You have arrived at the new island, Long Chain Island, and received a reward of 1,000 adventure coins. Adventure coins. 3985. When the system prompt appeared, the Straw Hat Crew's fleet finally arrived at the new island. Everyone came out onto the decks of their respective ships. A new island. There's nothing here. Is this Spring Island? The climate around this island is so comfortable. In sight was an endless grassland, with the sea breeze blowing and the lush green grass dancing in the wind. The Sunny and Merry ships anchored one after another, while the Thousand Sunny remained suspended in midair, only lowering its height slightly. Everyone, feel free to explore. We'll meet up later, Luffy announced to everyone on the Thousand Sunny's deck with a smile. Yahoo! Usopp excitedly jumped off the ship. Luffy shook his head and turned to Robin and the others, saying, "You guys should go down too. I'll go check on Chopper." With that, he jumped off the Thousand Sunny and instantly arrived on the Mary. This ship was small and didn't have much space. Its main structure consisted of 2 crew cabins, a lounge that doubled as a kitchen and helm, a storage and cannon deck, and a very small bathroom. Though small, it had all the basic functions and was well equipped. Luffy lifted the hatch next to the mast and jumped down. This was the second crew cabin. In the original story, this was the male crew cabin, while the first one was the female crew cabin next door, and it was much smaller, only half the size of this one. Chopper, how's the research on the medicine going? As soon as he arrived, Luffy saw Chopper sitting at the table, tinkering with a bunch of bottles and jars. He was very focused and didn't hear the footsteps behind him at all. Suddenly, a voice came, and Chopper was startled, almost dropping the glass tube in his hand. "Luffy, you scare me." He extended his paw to wipe the sweat off his forehead and let out a sigh of relief. "I've extracted the components from the fruit, but I don't know what the specific effects will be." When they were on Jaya Island, Luffy gave Vivi a box of 6-style devil fruits. Since Vivi already knew 2 styles, she only ate 4 fruits. She didn't know what to do with the remaining 2 fruits, so she handed them over to Chopper a week ago. After eating the 6-style devil fruit, not only would one gain mastery over one style, but it also came with the function of strengthening the body. For example, if one mastered Finger Pistol after eating the fruit, the enhancement would mainly be in the fingers. If it was Tempest Kick, it would be in the legs. If it was Iron Body, it would be in the muscles throughout the body. Once tightened, it will provide strong defense. Each type of 6-style enhancement had slightly different effects, but regardless of which one, the incredible effects would manifest in the body, effectively skipping the long training process. So, with hope in mind, Vivi handed the 2 substitute fruits to Chopper, who possessed advanced medical skills, hoping that he could figure out something. "Can you understand the principle?" Luffy walked up to Chopper and looked at the pile of glass bottles on the table. "I don't understand. They are all ingredients I have never seen before." "I'm sorry, Luffy. I wasted a portion of one of the fruits," Chopper apologized. "What happened?" Luffy asked. "I took a bite and mastered Finger Pistol, then extracted the active ingredient from the remaining fruit, but the result was strange." Chopper took out 2 glass tubes and showed them to Luffy. The liquid in the 2 tubes was both light green. The one on the left is number 1. Extracted from the fruit I took a bite of, Chopper explained. The one on the right is number 2. Extracted from the intact fruit. The medicinal activity of the 2 substances is significantly different. Number 2 is less than 1% of number 1. Upon hearing this, Luffy smiled and patted Chopper's head. "No need to apologize. You did a great job, Dr. Chopper." Stupid idiot, even if you praise me, I won't be happy. I'm so happy that I'm shy and twisted." "Haha, so you're saying the essence is in the first bite?" Luffy asked with a laugh. "You could say that, but I don't understand the reason behind it. Chopper was very frustrated. Just like devil fruits, once you eat the first bite, the remaining parts lose their effect. The Six Styles fruit is similar, but there will still be a very small residue. The only person in the world who can understand this problem is the scientist who claims to surpass this world by 500 years, Vegapunk. However, this problem is not important. Luffy pondered. So if a portion of the liquid in test tube number 2 is consumed, will the rest also lose its effect? No. Chopper quickly shook his head. I've already experimented with it. I gave a little to Karoo, and it only made his body stronger, but he couldn't master the 6 styles. Luffy, do you want to use this to train everyone? It does have a strong effect, but I don't know if there will be any side effects. Fruits produced by the system, of course, won't have any side effects. Even devil fruits have no side effects, no longer fearing seawater or sea stone. Armament hockey still works. Luffy tested it on Nami and Vivi, and he could still grab their bodies. Obviously, being hit by armament hockey doesn't fall under the category of side effects. Thinking of this, Luffy immediately took out a lifespan fruit. Afterwards, let's study this. What is this? A fruit that, when eaten, grants 1 year of lifespan and replenishes a lot of vitality to the consumer. Chopper's mouth dropped open, and he said dumbfoundedly, Luffy, you can bring out anything. What else is there? Is there a universal medicine that can cure all diseases? His eyes sparkled, and he looked up with anticipation. Luffy laughed, and believe it or not, he actually had something similar. The self-healing fruit. When they were in East Blue, Zoro was almost killed by Hawkeye, but one self-healing fruit made him completely fine. Unfortunately, this kind of fruit doesn't have any effect on diseases. If it's given to Chopper for research, maybe he can really fulfill his dream and create a universal medicine. He didn't forget the conditions Dr. Kureha mentioned back then. Now, I don't have it, but once I find it, I'll give it to you to try. Chopper, can these 2 liquid medicines be taken orally directly? Yes, but I suggest diluting it a bit. The quantity is small. It might not be enough for everyone. I leave it to you. Soon, Chopper diluted the second liquid medicine and made over 20 cups of light green drink. Luffy took him and walked out of the Mariejois, arriving at the great grassland of Long Ring Island. Luffy, Grandpa! Mr. 3 quickly ran over and offered his own brewed black tea. Little brother has good eyesight, huh? Luffy smiled and picked up a cup of Earl Grey, taking a sip and saying, Gather everyone. Understood. Mr. 3 immediately went to find people. Bartolomeo, who happened to witness this scene, was taken aback. Damn it, he actually wants to compete with me for the position of his number 1 underling. He also quickly ran over and said, Luffy-sama, your loyal underling awaits your call. Perfect. I need your strength. Luffy nodded and said, Your barrier fruit ability, the defense, is strong, right? Yes. The world's strongest defense. An impenetrable fortress. Bartolomeo said confidently. Then come and assist everyone in their training. Huh. Soon, Mr. 3 called everyone back. The Straw Hat Pirates were all present, except for Laboon, who could only stay in the sea. Luffy, what are you planning to do? Nami asked. Today, let everyone try Chopper's latest research achievement, the body strengthening water. Upon hearing this, everyone looked at Chopper. Chopper immediately said, Listen to me, this is an effective ingredient extracted from the Rokushiki fruit. After drinking it, it will quickly strengthen everyone's physical strength. Luffy added, Its effect doesn't happen instantly, it lasts for a period of time. So, during this time, you should quickly train. There should be a good feedback. He didn't know to what extent it would reach, and neither did Law. In any case, today is just a test. If the effect is good, it can be promoted. So that's why Chopper has been busy these past few days. Usopp suddenly realized. Both Agent 5 and Agent 3 were surprised. They had heard a little about the 6 Powers fruit. They didn't expect that they would be involved too. Who wants to go first? Luffy asked with a smile. Nami, Vivi, you don't need to. You're already superhuman. Naturally, the 2 women didn't mind. Not only did they master all 6 powers, but they were also Logia users. If you really wanted to say it, their combat abilities were stronger than Zoro's. But Luffy, I have a question. Nami said in confusion. In that case, can we still master the 6 powers? Idiot, as long as your physical fitness meets the standard, it's not difficult to master the techniques. Look at me, I haven't eaten anything, but I can still master shave, right? The 6 powers are not the goal. The strength of the body is the foundation. Having more skills is not a problem, as they're the prerequisites for hockey anyway. And if you really want to learn, it's not like you can't learn it. Most officers at the naval headquarters have mastered 1 or 2 moves. Yes. I'll go first. Usopp was the first to raise his hand, ran to Chopper, and picked up a cup of drink, gulping it down. He let out a satisfied groan and extended the cup forward. Another cup, there's no more. Chopper transformed into a shark mouth. Just enough for each person. I'll give a try too. Sanji also came over and drank a cup, savoring it carefully. He said in surprise, the taste is really good. Really? Let me try too. Robin smiled and picked up a cup, elegantly taking a sip. Soon, everyone joined in, including Zoro, who didn't hesitate and finished it in 1 gulp. Finally, the members of the special agent group exchanged glances and silently stepped forward. Opportunities to become stronger shouldn't be wasted, right? After Miss Kaya finished her drink, Chopper immediately said, Kaya, your body is weak. Drinking this is good for your illness, but you shouldn't participate in training now. Your body can't handle it. Just move around more. Yes, teacher Chopper. Kaya nodded with a smile. Please give me flowers, Zero. She wanted to learn medicine, so she asked Chopper to teach her medical skills a long time ago, hence the change in how she addressed him. One by one, everyone drank the body-strengthening water. Luffy announced, everyone, train in your own way. Of course, if you want to challenge it, there's little B's barrier. Just as he was speaking, his voice suddenly stopped. Zoro also narrowed his eyes, and both of them looked towards the sea. In the distance on the sea surface, a huge pirate ship was heading straight towards them. On the deck, Captain, it's the Straw Hat Pirates, the pirate in charge of Lookout exclaimed. Huh? The Straw Hat Pirates? The man with crossed arms suddenly widened his eyes. These are truly rare and important people. Rely on medicine. They're Shichibukai. His subordinates were all shocked. You fools, it's precisely because they're Shichibukai that we have to go. Who do you think I am? If you want something, you have to snatch it. This is the motto of Silver Fox Foxy. The man who made the arrogant statement had a split hair, a red nose, an inverted eyebrow, and triangular eyes, resembling a fox. I'm sure the crew members of the Shichibukai must be strong, right? Let's go. Note, Shichibukai refers to the 7 warlords of the sea, a group of powerful pirates who have been granted special privileges by the world government. The crowd of henchmen had faces as dark as ink, and someone tried to grab the captain on the spot, but the ship continued to head towards Long Chain Island. By the coast, there was a grassland. Zoro grinned and said, Oh, are they coming for us? Are they looking for a fight? As soon as they heard the word fight, the men immediately smiled. Sanji loosened the collar of his shirt and said, Drink that water. It'll cool you down a bit. Don't worry, leave it to me. No, Mr. Sanji. Mr. 3 pushed his glasses and shrugged with a light laugh. Please leave this to me. Let me handle this pirate crew that popped out of nowhere. I am Mr. Galdino. Leave it to me. I'll take care of it. It's been a while since I've used my Okama Kenpo, Mr. 2 said, jumping and performing a ballet dance in a fighting stance. Ha! Luffy laughed and didn't stop them. He pulled over a chair, sat down calmly, and took on a spectator's posture. Boom! When Foxy's pirate ship reached the shore, they were greeted by a group of eager men. On the deck, the Straw Hat Pirates nervously swallowed their saliva. Wait! A woman with a cute appearance but a strange hat immediately waved her hand and spoke in a sweet voice. We're not here to fight with you, Straw Hat Pirates. It's a misunderstanding. Sanji's beauty radar immediately activated upon seeing her. Woman, a beauty. Shut up, you perverted Kappa. Zoro kicked the person down with 1 foot, truly embarrassing their Straw Hat crew. You did it. You kicked him. It seems like you're ready to die, Moss Head. Sanji stood up, and the 2 of them started fighting on the spot. Foxy West Blue Pirates. Haha. Suddenly, laughter rang out. Silver Fox Foxy West pointed his finger at Luffy, who was sitting on the side watching the show, and shouted, "7 warlords of the sea! Straw Hat Luffy! I am Captain Foxy of the Foxy Pirates from West Blue. I am not here to fight you. On the contrary, I am here to challenge you." A challenge? Everyone was surprised. Does this person have a problem? Does he even know what a Shichibukai is? Is he planning to take them down and steal the title of Shichibukai? Foxy the Silver Fox, I've heard of you. The trash with a bounty of 24 million, Mr. 3 said disdainfully. Let me be your opponent. A small fry like you doesn't even qualify to challenge Luffy's grandfather. Wait, Foxy's mouth twitched. I said it's not a fight, it's a pirate game, Davy back fight. Don't tell me you don't know. Are you really pirates? Davy back fight. Nami looked puzzled. Robin explained, it's rumored to be a game born in a certain pirate amusement park, a competition between pirate crews. The winner can plunder the other's crew members. If there are no desired crew members, they can also tear off the other's pirate flag. Is there such a game? Vivi looked surprised. It originated from Honeycomb Island, Luffy added with a smile. Do you see the strange pirate flag on Foxy's ship? It's not hanging on the mast, but stuck on the hull. They looked down and indeed saw a graffiti-like flag. Below were 2 crossbones, and above was a skull with what seemed like burning hair. That's a symbol of the Rocks Pirates, a legendary pirate crew that dominated the Grand Line before the birth of Pirate King Roger. This game is something they popularized, and many of their crew members were acquired through this method. Pausing for a moment, Luffy continued. Of course, the name Rocks has been erased. I doubt Foxy himself even knows the meaning of that symbol. Why was it erased? Nami asked curiously. I'll tell you later. Luffy looked up at Foxy and shouted, all right, I accept your challenge. Thanks to Lucas for the monthly votes and A for the reminder to update. Also, please give me flowers and full subscriptions. 086, is this the crew of the Shichibukai? A bunch of monsters. Sure, I accept your challenge. Upon hearing Luffy's words, not only the Fock West Blue Pirates, but even the Straw Hat crew showed surprised expressions. Huh? Luffy, are you accepting? Nami blinked her eyes. Although I don't think we will lose, isn't it not the time for training? Training and games don't conflict. On the other side, the pirates of the Fock West Blue Pirates opened their mouths one by one. What should we do? What should we do? He actually agreed. Ah, we're done for. We will definitely lose. If we lose, what if Straw Hat Luffy chooses me as a crew member? He will definitely choose me. Damn it. I'll become one of Shichibukai's subordinates in the future. You fool. Have you forgotten about Captain Fock West? A reckless idiot without any bottom line. Do you deserve to be called a pirate? No need to say, if we lose, I'll go over there. Oomph. Suddenly, a cold snort sounded. The noisy pirates all shut up and looked at their captain. Fock West's face turned dark. He didn't expect that he would actually agree. After all, the positions of the two sides are not equal. Usually additional conditions would be requested. Damn Straw Hat, what is he planning? Did he really set his sights on me? That's right, that must be it. If I lose, he will definitely choose me as the captain. Damn it. Farewell, excellent crew members of the Fock West Blue Pirates. If I am chosen, I will definitely bid everyone farewell with a smile. Thinking of this, tears welled up in Fock West's eyes. Indeed, he must have been attracted to my excellent personality and beauty. I am truly the most suitable person for the Straw Hat Pirates. He will definitely choose me. What are you talking about, Captain? The beautiful crew members looked at him with disdainful eyes. Surprised, Fock West coughed and accidentally said his inner thoughts. 077. Cough, cough, I understand now, Straw Hat Luffy. Since you have accepted my challenge, then let's begin the pirate game. He leaped down and jumped off the ship. It's up to you to choose what game to play. Baseball? Rowing? Sniping? Octagonal cage? Or team battle? Speak up. As the one who accepted the challenge, it's up to you to decide today's competition. Luffy's mouth curled slightly. This guy is the slow fruit user, and this ability is quite powerful. But unfortunately, he's an idiot himself. Since the other party has come to him willingly, he doesn't mind taking in another crew member. Let me think. Ordinary pirate games aren't really interesting. Luffy thought for a moment and immediately smiled. How about a team battle? A team battle? What's that? All the members of both of our pirate crews participate in the competition. The side with more survivors in the game wins. Luffy looked at the two women beside him. Nami, Vivi, create a larger thundercloud. Although they didn't know what he was up to, the two women nodded in response to the command. Vivi raised her right arm, palm facing the sky. In an instant, the clear sky was suddenly covered in dark clouds. A light drizzle started falling on the great grassland. The weather has changed? Did this woman do it? A devil fruit user. The members of the Fok West Blue pirate crew looked up in shock. Then, Nami smiled and snapped her fingers. The snap produced an electric current that shot up into the sky and disappeared into the clouds. Immediately after, a loud rumble echoed. Lightning flashed and thunder roared within the dark clouds. The Fok West crew felt a chill run down their spines, their faces turning pale as they swallowed their saliva. CA Captain, are we really going to compete? This is definitely a Logia user's ability. A burly man with a strong presence said in a trembling voice. The Fok West crew was already scared silly, their jaws dropping to the ground. Logia, one of the rarest types of devil fruit. In the current era, the three admirals of the Marines are Logia users. They are ice, magma, and light. And the two women standing next to Straw Hat Luffy, with a little bit of thinking, immediately came to a conclusion. Electricity, clouds, or rain. Gudon. Foxy swallowed his saliva. Are these the crew members under the Shichibukai? Just two women, but they are monsters. You can't back out now. Luffy narrowed his eyes slightly, his conqueror's haki stirring but not released. In Foxy's eyes at this moment, sitting there with his legs crossed, holding a cup of tea, Luffy seemed to have a terrifying demon behind him. The demon's tentacles were like black and red lightning, ready to strike at any moment. All right, let's continue comparing. How exactly do we compare? Foxy immediately changed his tone. It's simple. Later, lightning will continuously strike from the thunderclouds. Everyone will be under the thunderclouds and find a way to avoid the lightning. After 1 hour, the side with more people still standing will win. Luffy smirked. A rule that favors you, isn't it? After all, you have over 100 people. In line with his words, Nami immediately brought down a lightning strike. Boom! The lightning struck the grassland, instantly turning a patch of green grass into blackness. Foxy and his crew. Dead. Someone will die. Wait. The beautiful crew member wearing a strange hat immediately said, "This is unfair. You can completely control who the lightning strikes. Well then, let's do it like this. 2 lightning strikes per second, 1 for each side. Nami, be careful with your control. Don't electrocute anyone, okay? Don't worry, Luffy." Nami showed a wicked smile. Luffy nodded in satisfaction and said, "Other than that, there are no additional conditions. We will start in 1 minute, and everyone will enter the cloud area." Saying that, he took out a pocket watch and started timing. Is this fair? Not fair, because Nami can completely control the power of each lightning strike. She can make it stronger when attacking the Fok West Blue Pirate Group and weaker when attacking her own crew members. But there is never absolute fairness in the world. It's originally a game, as long as both sides can accept it. Of course, Luffy is not planning to do that. He originally intended to conduct training for the Straw Hat crew, and this training mode was originally scheduled for later. Since Fok West has come, they might as well do it together. What should we do, Captain? Although I also want to join the Shichibukai, I don't want to be struck by lightning and die. UBD, you actually said what's on your mind. Don't panic. As long as we hold on, there will be a chance to be chosen. Fok West's face turned dark, and he snorted, "Humph. Since the game has already started, no one is allowed to quit. Do you want the pirate flag to be humiliated? Attack!" He waved his hand and took a step into the thundercloud. Seeing that their enemy captain had taken the initiative to stand up, the Straw Hat crew smiled and followed suit, stepping into the thundercloud one after another. Finally, the remaining pirates of the Fok West Blue Pirate Group hurriedly followed suit. Time's up. Luffy closed the pocket watch. Nami, wait, aren't you 3 participating? Someone protested. Of course not. It's unfair for the three of us to participate. This is a favor to you. All right, let's begin, Nami. Luffy waved his hand, picked up the glass of grape juice, and took a sip. Yes, Nami raised her right palm, with electric currents flowing in her palm. In the next moment, a lightning bolt struck the clouds in the sky. Boom! The lightning strikes began to erupt. Two lightning bolts struck, one towards the Straw Hat crew and the other towards the Fok West group. In an instant, screams filled the air. Among the Straw Hat crew, the one who was struck was Zoro. With his observation haki, he dodged at the first moment and rolled on the ground. Hey, you hit me first, Nami. Was that intentional? Miss Nami, well done. Sanji applauded. On the other side, the Fok West Blue Pirate group was not so lucky. A big guy was struck by lightning and immediately convulsed, falling to the ground with his hair standing on end. Apoo! Everyone shouted. Don't get distracted. Focus on dodging. Nami, like a devilish woman, kindly reminded. In the blink of an eye, the second lightning strike arrived, followed by the third, the fourth. Boom, boom, boom. The frequency of 2 lightning strikes per second made everyone afraid to lose focus. One by one, they looked up at the thunderclouds in the sky, ready to dodge at any moment. But soon, they realized that staring was useless. The lightning was too fast. By the time they realized it was going to strike them, it had already come down. Unless they mastered observation haki and could hear the sound of the lightning strike in advance. Run, someone shouted, and the next moment a group of people quickly fled. Some even tried to run out of the range of the thunderclouds, but a thunderbolt that could pierce the earth like a death warning made those who had the idea of skipping class quickly give up. In just 10 minutes, half of the Fok West Blue Pirate group was lying down. Vivi covered her mouth and whispered, Mr. Luffy, will this kind of training be useful? Just helping them move around. We deliberately controlled the frequency of the lightning strikes. Originally, the plan was for 10 strikes per second. Luffy shook his head. As long as we squeeze their potential, they will always become stronger, and besides, it won't kill them. Time passed slowly. For Luffy, it was tea time. For the people under the thunderclouds, it was like a great escape from hell. Just running was not enough. They also had to be careful to stay away from others because no one knew who would be struck next. If someone was nearby, they might suffer an undeserved disaster. Ah, 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 ah. Every now and then, screams could be heard. At first, it was the Fok West Blue Pirate group, but gradually, members of Straw Hat crew were also struck. After half an hour, the number of people decreased from over 100 to less than 30. And the fewer the number of people, the higher the probability of being struck. The exhaustion of physical strength, the threat of lightning strikes overhead, the movements of the enemy members. Everything is pressing on the hidden potential of the crowd. If someone's physical body is strong enough, even if they are struck once, they can still stand up. If someone is caught up by the people around them, they twitch all over from just a graze. Damn it, why are they always chasing after me? Foxy runs for his life, with one heavy strike after another falling behind him. Gasping for breath, he couldn't help but shout, Straw Hat Luffy, you didn't say I couldn't use my abilities, right? You can. After receiving the reply, Foxy suddenly stops and turns around, making a gesture, folding his thumb, middle finger, and ring finger, and then raising his index finger and pinky. In the next moment, rings of pink light shoot out toward the top of his head. Slow beam. At the same time as the beam of light is fired, the lightning strikes through. In that instant, its speed is slowed down by dozens of times. And taking advantage of this opportunity, Foxy immediately takes a step back, and a lightning strikes in front of him. Ha ha! If I can use the slow beam, I have nothing to fear from mere lightning. He laughs triumphantly. The one standing till the end will be me, Straw Hat Luffy. Is that so? Luffy leisurely drinks his tea, smiling without saying a word. And the Straw Hat crew, who witnessed this scene, gradually realized what was happening. So you can use your abilities? Ha ha ha. You should have said so earlier. Valentine opens her umbrella, and in the next moment, she flies into the air. Moving in the air, she is much faster than running on the ground. This is training. Running in the sky is not allowed. Nami decisively adds a condition and snaps her fingers. Boom! Several lightning bolts struck Valentine in an instant, causing her to fall from the sky. Nami! Valentine screamed in agony, falling to the ground. Huff, huff! Mr. 3 pushed his glasses and waved his hand above his head, instantly creating a small candle house and hiding inside. What a fool! Provoking the captain and harassing Miss Nami. Boom! A lightning bolt struck the roof of the candle house, but was blocked. Seeing this, Mr. 2's eyes flashed, and he quickly dove inside. Make way! UBD, don't push. Can't you make it bigger? If it's too big, it will attract attention. You really are an idiot. Upon seeing this, a cross appeared on Nami's forehead. I told you to train, but you're really good at slacking off. Once again, he raised his hand and unleashed a more powerful lightning force. With a loud bang, the lightning pierced through the candle house, causing the two inside to convulse from the electric shock. Run! If you don't run, I'll keep attacking you. Devil! The two dared not play dead and had no choice but to get up and run. Terrifying, Nami, what a pity. Luffy couldn't help but complain in his heart. 1 hour later, the thunderstorm finally subsided. The survivors stopped in their tracks, gasping for breath. Whether it was the Straw Hat crew or the Foxy crew, the few people still standing looked at each other, showing a sense of sympathy. Truly a terrifying woman. Luffy stood up and scanned the entire room. Not bad. You guys have persevered. Worthy of praise, he said appreciatively. At this moment, only Fok West Blue Pirates captain, Fok West, was still standing, but he was also exhausted and foaming at the mouth. As for the Straw Hat Pirates, there were 11 of them. They were Zoro, Sanji, Usopp, Chopper, Bartolomeo, Mr. 1, Mr. 2, Mr. 3, Mr. 5, and the only two females, Robin and Kaya. Everyone else had been electrocuted. Even the little girl, Nami, didn't escape. As for Robin and Kaya, they were never attacked from beginning to end. Kaya was understandable, as her health was already poor. As for Robin, Luffy seriously suspected that she secretly gave money to Nami. Luffy looked at Nami suspiciously, then walked towards the others. How effective was it? Sanji breathed lightly. Luffy, you might not believe it, but the effect is much better than we imagined. That's right, the silent Mr. 1 couldn't help but say, I was hit 7 times, but every time my stamina was about to run out, the medicine I drank earlier would strengthen my body and give me a new surge of power. About an hour is just about right. And now this effect has disappeared. Usopp, exhausted, lay on the ground and weakly said, Was this also part of your plan, Luffy? As long as it's effective, rest for a while and continue later. Luffy said with a smile, Everyone, if Nami is a devil, then you're definitely a demon. You scoundrel. Of course, they could only curse in their hearts. Rest well. Good days are still ahead. Luffy patted Zoro's shoulder, walked up to Fok West, and said, You lost, huh? Thump! Fok West knelt on the ground and couldn't get up. Damn it. I understand now. From now on, I'm a member of the Straw Hat Pirates. Luffy, why do you look so happy? 087 Fire Fist Ace is arrested. Big news for Summit War. Arrived at the capital of Seven Waters recruiting crew members for the ship Fokushi. Those with qualifications and abilities rewarded with 200 adventure coins after losing the pirate game. Fokushi joined the Straw Hat crew. At the same time, Luffy also received a reward of 200 adventure coins. After everyone regained some strength, Fokushi solemnly bid farewell to the pirate crew he once led. His subordinates were very reluctant to see him leave, so they held a farewell party on the island that evening. They invited the Straw Hat crew to participate, as well as the 2 pirate crews who were hostile during the day. They all happily drank together at night. Luffy did not participate, but he did not stop his crew members. It's not that he dislikes this kind of pirate role-playing, but he simply doesn't like a noisy atmosphere. And when he appears, the atmosphere of the party will be off. It's like a company gathering in a previous life. When the leader appears, everyone was having a good meal and drinks, chatting and having fun, but suddenly everyone becomes silent. Knowing this, he didn't join in the fun. Alone, Luffy came to the shore and stood in front of the Mariejois, once again taking out Ace's life card. Before, only one corner was burning, but now the range is expanded Almost half of the paper has been destroyed, and there is no sign of it calming down for the time being. Are you still fighting? Luffy fell into contemplation. In this situation, Ace still didn't run away? Or he couldn't run away anymore? Putting aside Ace's issue, Luffy was more concerned about Blackbeard's movements. Why did Blackbeard and his group leave Lowtown at that time? What did they want to do? He inherited Rock's will and wanted to dominate the world. In the original story, capturing Ace and handing him over to the Marines to start the Summit War was part of his plan. He knew that Ace was Roger's son and that Whitebeard would not give up on Ace. The Marines would definitely publicly execute Ace, and Whitebeard would definitely come to rescue him. And the target was Whitebeard's shock fruit. I also need to be prepared in case Whitebeard dies, so we can't let Blackbeard have a shock fruit. Before the war comes, we must obtain a blank fruit. While pondering, Zoro walked over with a bottle of wine. Luffy, what's up? There's no one on this island. Don't you find it strange? It's clearly a very suitable island for human habitation. There are no people, but there are many strange animals. Long-bodied dogs, horizontally developed wolves, slender birds. Even the apples on the apple trees are long like cucumbers. It just so happens that there are no people on this island. What do you mean? Zoro was taken aback. Luffy lightly laughed and explained it to him briefly. Long Ring Island is very unique, surrounded by 10 small islands in a circle, forming a circular shape. For most of the year, the waters here are in a state of high tide, flooding most of the area, and only the 10 small islands remain above water. But there are also 3 hours each year when the tide recedes, and only during this time does Long Ring Island truly reveal its original appearance. And the people who live here are nomads, migrating to the next small island during the low tide. Pausing for a moment, Luffy jokingly said, "Your observation hockey range is too small. It can't cover the whole area. That's why you think there's no one here. In reality, in the north of us, on the opposite small island, there are many people living there." Zoro suddenly realized and admiringly said, "I see." Not only that, the next island after Long Ring Island is the City of Seven Waters. The City of Seven Waters experiences a massive tidal wave every year, known to the locals as the water gods Aqua Laguna. And the time when Long Ring Island's tide recedes is almost the same time as when the Aqua Laguna occurs in the City of Seven Waters. How can I train my observation hockey to have such a wide range like you? Zoro frowned. This will require hard work. No one is born powerful. It is all earned through diligence and sweat. Luffy spoke earnestly. Instead of observation hockey, you should first master armament hockey. Is there a good method? Don't use a knife. Try using your fists to break the candle wall of 3. Mr. Three's candle wall has a hardness comparable to iron. Zoro's eyes lit up, grinning. "I got it, thanks, Captain." Saying that, he turned around to find Mr. Three. The banquet continued until the next morning. A group of drunkards lay scattered on the ground. Luffy opened the adventure shop and made 2 purchases, getting a box of 6-style devil fruits, and they were even on sale. It only cost 500 adventure coins to buy 6 of them. Immediately, he called Chopper and had him extract the essence according to yesterday's procedure, making it into body-strengthening water. After that, it was training time. They didn't use thunderclouds for training like yesterday, but instead found suitable opponents to spar with. Afterward, on the 3rd day, the 4th day, when the 5th day arrived, everyone's training finally paid off. Shipmate Zoro has mastered paper arts, shave, iron body, rewarded with 600 adventure coins. Shipmate Sanji has mastered moonwalk, rewarded with 200 adventure coins. Shipmate Bartolomeo has mastered iron body, rewarded with 200 adventure coins in addition. Usopp learned paper arts, Joseph learned shave, Johnny learned iron body, Nekomamushi learned shave, and both Robin and Chopper mastered finger pistol. Of course, the Cypher Pole 5 men also each mastered one of the 6 styles. Unfortunately, Cypher Pole 3 women were too weak, and temporarily no one has mastered any moves. In total, they consumed 7 6-style devil fruits, and ultimately gained 3,200 adventure coins. Adventure coins, 6,825 profit. Originally, with only 7 fruits, one could only master 7 moves. But now, not only are there more, but we've also made coins. If we continue with this method, soon everyone will be able to master the 6 styles, and we won't even have to spend money. We'll make money. Luffy thought happily. This shouldn't be considered a loophole in the system, but rather the result of everyone's hard work. He only provided a little insignificant help. Xiaokai doesn't count as help. Nami, is the magnetic pointer fully charged? It was fully charged last night. Do you want to end the training? Training can be done anytime. It's about time to head to the next island. The captain's orders were quickly passed down, and the Straw Hat crew finished their training one by one and boarded the ship. The 3 pirate ships set sail towards the next island. The newly joined Fokexi was temporarily assigned to the second team. On the deck of the Sunny, Luffy took out Ace's life card again. At this moment, the life card was only the size of a fingernail. After 6 days and 5 nights of fighting, it seems like I lost Ace. Grand Line, a certain autumn island. There's a small town here where bounty hunters gather, and many information merchants sell information about pirates here. But on this day, the entire town was almost empty. Everyone had run away. Many people set sail, but they didn't go far. Instead, they looked back at the terrifying scene on the island. A huge fireball almost engulfed half of the island, as if a scorching sun had appeared out of thin air. And the terrifying power that extinguished the scorching sun turned almost half of the island into a permanent winter island, completely changing the local climate. Blizzards raged, and the bone-chilling cold could even reach the sea. The sun has gone out. Is it finally ending? What exactly is going on? The battle has been going on for so long. Has a winner been decided? Marine Admiral Akiji and Whitebeard's 2nd Division Captain, Fire Fist Ace. After days of continuous battle, the final conclusion finally arrived. The ending was not unexpected. At this moment, in the center of the battlefield, Ace fell to the ground with a thud, no longer having any strength to move a finger. Ah, he's tough, worthy of being one of the 4 Emperor's commanders. If I gave him another 10 years, I might not be able to defeat him. Akiji exhaled a cold breath, looking equally tired. He walked step by step towards Ace, taking out a den mushi. Hello, it's me. Akiji. Well, how should I put it? I've got the person. Well done. I want a request, and before he could finish saying the word vacation, the other side spoke first. Bring him back and return to headquarters as soon as possible. After that, Kizaru and Akainu will also be summoned back to headquarters. Akiji, prepare for war. Click, the call was cut off. Akiji scratched his head and sighed in resignation. Going to war with Whitebeard? Admirals really have a tough life. 3 days later, the Straw Hat Pirates' fleet entered the waters of the Sabaody Archipelago, and a piece of news spread throughout the world ahead of time. On the deck of the Sunny Go, Vivi looked up at the news bird flying overhead and caught the newspaper it dropped. Huh? They're not charging for it. Nami exclaimed in surprise. Every time there's major news, the World Economic News doesn't charge. Vivi had a bad feeling and opened the newspaper to read it together with Nami. At first glance, both of them turned pale. The headline on the front page was enough to shock the world. The photo showed a man being arrested by the Marines. Execution notice for Fire Fist Ace. The shorter the news, the more weight it carried. Fire Fist Ace. Robin happened to pass by and exclaimed in surprise, "Isn't he Luffy's sworn brother?" Luffy, Vivi shouted towards the sky. On the Arc Maxim, on the deck, Luffy watched as Zoro used Mr. 3 as a punching bag to practice, his fists hitting the wax wall repeatedly until they bled. Zoro had been training day and night for armament hockey these past few days. Upon hearing Vivi shout, Luffy immediately jumped down. What's wrong? Take a look at this. Vivi handed him the newspaper, and Luffy's expression froze slightly. He probably guessed what it was about. Taking the newspaper, he saw that indeed, Ace had been arrested. Slightly surprised, Luffy noticed that the news mentioned Akiji capturing Ace, not Blackbeard. Akiji? The Marines wouldn't go so far as to fabricate news just to boost their reputation, and even if they did, they wouldn't bring up Akiji. So, it really was Akiji who captured Ace? Then where was Blackbeard? What was Blackbeard doing? Luffy couldn't help but frown. Nami hurriedly said, "The news says that Ace will be publicly executed in a month. What should we do, Luffy? He's your brother, right?" Several girls looked at Luffy with concern. Luffy, on the other hand, remained calm and unsurprised. He returned the newspaper to Vivi and smiled, saying, "It will probably take the Marines a month to mobilize their forces. We'll also test the reaction of Whitebeard's pirate crew. Anyway, let's first go to the capital of the Seven Seas, New World, Cake Island." Mama, did they catch the brat on Whitebeard's ship? How interesting. A large and obese woman sat on the queen's throne, grinning as she watched the news. The drool that fell from her mouth seemed to sizzle on the ground like sulfuric acid. In front of her, a tall man with a scarf covering his mouth spoke in a deep voice. "Whitebeard won't stay silent, Mama. Naval headquarters is probably going to clash with Whitebeard." His name was Charlotte Kakuri, a member of the Four Emperors Big Mom Pirates, the pinnacle of the Charlotte family, and one of the sweet commanders. "Mama, should we do something? Whitebeard is already old. We can't be sure what kind of reaction he'll have." New World, Wano Country. Kaido squinted his eyes, and a pleased smile appeared on his face. "Jean, go and investigate from the sky. Keep an eye on that old man Whitebeard." "Lord Kaido, should we take this opportunity to take over Whitebeard's territory?" "Oh ho ho. Akiji occasionally does something good. Go Jean." "Yes." On the deck of the Moby DK, as one of the four emperors, Whitebeard Edward Newgate led his pirate crew. At this moment, the atmosphere within the Whitebeard pirates was extremely solemn. "Damn it, that be D. Akiji. Ace has been captured. It's really dangerous. The Sea of Paradise is within the jurisdiction of naval headquarters. Going there will definitely attract attention. I should have stopped Ace at that time." Marco's face was filled with regret. "Gulalala." Whitebeard gulped down a barrel of wine and slammed it hard on the ground. "That guy Sengoku wants to start a war? He thinks I'll back down? I am Whitebeard. Get ready to set sail, my boys." Dressrosa. Doflamingo, one of the Shichibukai, received a naval headquarters vice admiral in the royal palace. Dalmatia said in a deep voice, "That's the situation. Shichibukai Doflamingo has called for a roundtable meeting of the Shichibukai. Come with me to the headquarters." Doflamingo sat on the throne, crossed his legs, and grinned as he looked at the news. Fu. The era is about to go wild. Whitebeard won't stay silent. War is coming. That's why we need the power of you Shichibukai. Fu. Then let's go. The construction on the island has been going smoothly lately. I'm bored to death." He stood up and said, "By the way, that brat, Straw Hat Luffy, will he come? What's the matter? Are you interested in him? I'm a little interested in someone who could take down that BD crocodile. I don't know if he'll come, but a vice admiral has already invited him. According to the route, they should meet in the capital, Water 7. Water 7. When a Straw Hat crew's fleet arrived at the port, it caused a sensation. The pirate ship flying in the sky attracted countless citizens to come and watch. "These people here aren't afraid of pirates at all?" Usopp said, confused. "Who knows? Let's just get off the ship for now." Zoro dropped the anchor and was the first to jump off. Note: the tides of Long Ring Island and the tsunami in Water 7 are likely related. There is no definitive evidence in the original work, just my speculation. P.S. Thanks to and Lou for the monthly votes. Also, please give me flowers and subscribe. 088 greetings from Marine Vice Admiral. Target: Pirate Empress. The city of Seven Waters is a beautiful city built on water. The entire city is surrounded by the sea, with extremely tall white city walls dividing it into the inner city and the outer city. The outer city extends all the way to the coast, with yellow-roofed houses scattered in a circular pattern around the city walls. The inner city, on the other hand, is much more organized. Starting from the high city walls, it extends towards the center, where there is a huge fountain at the highest point. At this moment, the 3 pirate ships of the Straw Hat crew arrived at the southern coast. The residents of the outer city, attracted by the Arc Maxim, began to gather around in a strong and curious manner. Countless people looked up, filled with incredible astonishment. "Wow, a ship flying in the sky. How amazing. That's the flag of the Straw Hat Pirates." Why would the Shichibukai come here? So dazzling. Is the ship made of gold? Or is it gold-plated? Under the sunlight, the golden deck of the Ark Maxim reflected a dazzling brilliance. The Sunny and the Mary docked at the coast, and everyone jumped off the ships and onto the shore. The Ark Maxim also descended, with its bottom almost touching the ground. The acting captain, Bartolomeo, created a staircase with a barrier, and the members of the second team walked down one after another. The people here aren't afraid of pirates? Is it because we're Shichibukai? On the contrary, Shichibukai have the legal right to plunder. They should be more afraid. Nami shook her head, also finding it strange. Zoro stood on the Mary and said to everyone, Luffy, I'll stay here to guard the ship. Number 3, you stay too. To save time, he named his own sandbag for training. Mr. 3 readily agreed, feeling that his status was skyrocketing and he was taking another step towards promotion and a raise. Thank you for your hard work. Luffy nodded and said to everyone, to discuss the modification of the Ark Maxim, it's most convenient to go directly to the mayor here. I'll go personally, and you can move freely. Then I'll go check out the seafood market here, Sanji said. I want to go to the library here. Robin loved reading books and had come to a bustling city. As soon as she arrived, she wanted to go to the library to collect some interesting books. Luffy interrupted her, saying, Robin, come with me. Saying that, he left ahead. Robin hesitated for a moment and had no choice but to follow the captain's footsteps. Seeing this, Nami also joined them. Don't you want to explore this city? Luffy asked, surprised to see her following. Among the girls on the ship, Nami was the one who loved shopping the most. Whenever they arrived in a new place with a shopping street, she would definitely take everyone to indulge in some retail therapy. The matter of renovating the Thousand Sunny is more important. I need to keep an eye on it, Nami said somewhat embarrassedly, linking her arm with Luffy's and pouting. Robin smiled lightly and asked, Luffy, is there a specific reason why you asked me to come along? There is indeed a special reason. As they walked and talked, Luffy briefly explained the reason. On this island, there is a group of government agents lurking. CP9, the full name being Cipher.pol.9. Cipher Pol was a secret organization directly under the world government, and CP9, number 9, was the elite among the elites. Only those who fully mastered the 6 powers beyond human cognition were qualified to join. So I will be targeted? A hint of surprise flashed through Robin's bright eyes. She was not surprised that she would be targeted. In her 20 years of life on the run, she had dealt with other CP organizations and had a thorough understanding of her situation. CP1-8 were more well known to the public, and she had only heard of CP9 for the first time. Of course, they will target you. These agents have the right to kill anyone who obstructs their official duties. It's similar to the Shichibukai's legal plundering qualifications. They have the power of legitimate killing, so that's why you wanted me to come along. Thank you, Luffy. Robin revealed a charming smile. Luffy was a reliable and considerate captain, and she felt warm. Nami smiled and said, Don't worry, Robin. I will protect you. CP9, whoever they are, if they dare to come, I will defeat them all. Luffy, can we defeat these government people? It's a given. Anyone who threatens you could be defeated. If they needed to be fought, then they would be fought. CP9 was nothing special. 3 people entered the inner city area. As a water city, the 7 Waters capital is filled with various waterways and bridges. To move around here, one must rent a small boat, which is powered by a fish called Burr, acting as a water camel. Although it is called a fish, it actually looks more like a seahorse. The 3 of them boarded a small boat together and headed towards their destination, the shipbuilding company. The residents here are very enthusiastic, and the men here love to strike up conversations. Even if they recognize Luffy, the Shichibukai, when they see Nami and Robin by his side, they will whistle along the riverbanks. Then Luffy gave them a stern look, leaving them dumbfounded. Who is this person? Is he in heat? Oh, it seems that humans are indeed creatures in heat all year round. Nami couldn't help but chuckle at his jealous behavior. Then she kissed him to ease his anger. Luffy wasn't angry. He just thought it was too ridiculous. After all, he is a Shichibukai, a notorious pirate who can show his face anywhere. Yet the men here dare to strike up conversations with the women by his side. They truly have no fear of death, and I wonder who gave them the courage. Of course, this is just a small episode, adding some laughter to their journey. The Seven Waters capital, Corella Company. The company's headquarters is located in the mayor's mansion. The man named Iceberg is both the mayor of this city and the president of the Corella Company. Although he is called the mayor, he is somewhat similar to a king in a normal country. Because this city does not belong to any country and is not an independent kingdom, it has its unique way of survival and local laws. It does not have a conventional armed forces like a normal country, nor does it have the same social status in politics. The highest authority here is called the mayor. For now, the Seven Waters capital is still an underground term, similar to Robin's hometown, O'Hara. O'Hara is also not a country and does not belong to any country. It is just an island where archaeologists gather. And here is a special settlement established by skilled shipbuilders. Many years ago, there were 7 large shipyards here, and now the 7 have merged into the world's largest shipbuilding company, Carrera. At the mayor's mansion, Secretary Khalifa pushed open the door of the mayor's office, pushed her glasses up her nose, and expressionlessly said to the iceberg-like mayor sitting behind the desk, "Mr. Iceberg, news has come from the downtown area that one of the 7 warlords of the sea, Straw Hat Luffy, has landed on this island." 7 warlords of the sea? The iceberg, who was dealing with official business, looked shocked. Straw Hat Luffy is the rookie pirate recognized by the government some time ago? Yes. There is relatively little information about this Shichibukai. He rose to prominence recently and was initially offered a bounty of 71 million berries by the government for killing 2 Marine colonels in the East Blue. But strangely, the bounty poster only requested him to be captured alive. About half a month later, he defeated the original Shichibukai crocodile and took his place. As the secretary, she reported the relevant information without smiling. What is his purpose for coming here? The iceberg's expression became serious. Could it be that he wants to plunder the capital of the 7 waters? Impossible. Their relationship with the government is very good, and the government's naval orders are all completed here. Even if he is a Shichibukai, if he comes here to plunder, the government will not remain silent. We don't know their purpose for now, Mr. Iceberg. Should we send someone to make contact? Before Secretary Khalifa could finish her sentence, a noisy sound came from outside. No, stop. The mayor's office is ahead. Then a click. The door to the office was pushed open. Luffy stepped in, glanced around, and looked at Iceberg. Hello, Mariejois. Iceberg was greatly surprised. Did he just barge in? He really is a pirate. Khalifa, who was standing beside him, frowned and immediately showed a displeased expression. How rude. If you want to see Mayor Iceberg, please make an appointment in advance. Speaking, she lifted her long legs and fishnet stockings and kicked towards Luffy like lightning in high heels. Her kicking skills were exceptional, even able to create afterimages with each kick. However, before her attack could hit, Sanji easily blocked it with his 10th Avenue leg. Bang! With a dull sound, Khalifa's expression changed slightly, and she was secretly surprised. Don't be too rude, Miss Secretary. We are valuable guests here to deliver money, Nami said with a smile as she retracted her right foot. Seeing this, Iceberg immediately said, "Don't be foolish, Khalifa. The Shichibukai is a big shot. Apologize first." Khalifa also retracted her fishnet stocking leg and slightly bowed to Luffy. "I apologize, Mr. Luffy. Mariejois." Luffy temporarily ignored her and went straight to sit on the sofa. "I have a ship that needs some modifications. Can your company do it?" "So it's about business?" Iceberg breathed a sigh of relief and was about to nod to discuss the specific requirements. But then his gaze fell on Nico Robin. His pupils contracted. A devil's child? No, just a resemblance? Iceberg's mind shook. He had seen Robin's wanted poster when she was 8 years old, and the woman in front of him looked too similar. Considering her age, she should be 28 if it was her. Appearance, age, it all matched. Is she really the devil's child? Iceberg's hand, holding the feather pen, trembled slightly. "We will pay. We're not here to freeload on your labor. Nami also sat on the sofa and took out a photo of the Arc Maxim, saying, "These are the specific requirements." Then a long list of modification details followed. The power system cannot be changed, nor does it need to be changed. Enel's design is already very perfect. The main changes will be in the appearance and some internal compartments. After listening silently, Iceberg said to Khalifa, "Serve our guests a cup of tea." Khalifa immediately brewed a cup of black tea and served it to the three of them. Iceberg then suppressed his inner shock and said with a smile, "Since we are here to discuss business, let's do it in a business-like manner. Your requirements are not difficult. I will send someone to inspect the site later, and we can discuss the price after the specific results are available." Pausing for a moment, he asked, "Where is your ship?" "On the southern coast. You can see it as soon as you go there," Nami replied. "I see." "Khalifa, go and inform Kaku to go and take a look," Iceberg instructed. "Yes." The secretary nodded and left the room. Then Iceberg smiled and said, "Mr. Luffy, I would like to have a private conversation with you." Luffy probably knew what he wanted to talk about. Giving a signal to the two women beside him, they stood up and left. Luffy lifted the cup of tea and took a sip before saying, "Go ahead." "About the two people by your side," Iceberg began. "Nami is my navigator, and Nico Robin is my archaeologist," Luffy said straightforwardly. "I probably know what you want to say. Are you concerned about harboring a government-wanted criminal?" "So you know." Iceberg confirmed Robin's identity and couldn't help but frown. "This woman is Nico Robin, the government's wanted criminal and a devil fruit user. If the government finds out, the government already knows. They even sent Akiji to bother me not long ago," Luffy said. Iceberg was immediately stunned. They knew that Nico Robin was under the protection of this Shichibukai and still sent an admiral to deal with it. The process is complete. As for the result, there's no need to say. Nico Robin standing here unharmed indicates that everything is resolved. The government gave up? Impossible. Luffy chuckled and said, "Instead of worrying about that, why don't you focus on yourself? In your hands." Just as he was about to mention the blueprints, he suddenly looked to the side. Knock, knock, the door was knocked. "What's going on?" Iceberg asked in a deep voice. "Iceberg-sama, Naval Headquarters Vice Admiral is here to see you," Khalifa's voice came. "Please come in." Iceberg glanced at Luffy and nodded after a moment of contemplation. Then, a man dressed in a striped suit, with a marine justice cloak draped over his shoulders, led a few marine subordinates into the office. "Hello, Mayorithebe. I am Naval Headquarters Vice Admiral Wussin." Wussin, the Vice Admiral, first greeted Iceberg before looking at Luffy on the sofa and said, "I'm sorry if I'm interrupting. Because the matter is urgent. I came to find this person specifically." "Wussin, Vice Admiral?" Luffy raised an eyebrow. "7 warlords of the sea, Monkey D. Luffy. The headquarters is preparing to hold a roundtable meeting of the Shichibukai to discuss an important matter. I am here waiting for you on purpose," Wussin said in a deep voice. "As for what the important matter is, it's obvious that there's no need to ask." Luffy smiled and said, "How long have you been waiting?" "I arrived yesterday." "Not long ago," Wussin said. "You can come with us to the headquarters. The warship is ready to depart at any time." "Go to the headquarters? Can I refuse?" Luffy teased, unable to resist saying so when he saw the serious expression on the guy's face. "Don't joke around." The marmoset's face darkened. Could Mr. Garp's grandson also be as willful and reckless as Garp himself? As a Shichibukai appointed by the government, you must obey the government's orders when necessary. This matter is extremely important. Under normal circumstances, it would be forgivable, but if you refuse this time, your title will definitely be revoked. He admonished with a serious tone. "Are you in a hurry?" Luffy frowned. There's still a month until the Summit War. Why are they summoning the Shichibukai so early? The Marines themselves haven't deployed enough forces, have they? According to the original story, there were 100,000 elite soldiers from all over the world, and there were several thousand Vice Admiral level fighters alone. The Marmoset had to patiently explain. After all, he was Garp's grandson, different from the other Shichibukai. For Garp's sake, he had to say a few more words. He had also received a lot of care from Garp in the past. We need to gather other members afterwards, so we have to be quick. So, I'm just on the way. Luffy rolled his eyes. Who are we picking up? The Pirate Empress, Boa Hancock. The Marmoset said in a deep voice. It will take some time to go from here to the Calm Belt, and then return to the naval headquarters. Time is not abundant. Luffy said. So it's on the way, huh? Luffy's interest was piqued when he heard the name of the Empress. Come on. As a man, it's normal to be a little interested in the rumored world's most beautiful woman, right? Anyway, you would eventually have to attend the meeting, so it wouldn't hurt to take a look at this beauty along the way. Marmoset, if I had known it would be like this, I should have mentioned the Empress right from the start. But I'm afraid he'll be disappointed. The Pirate Empress is a woman who despises men to the extreme. Thanks to and for the monthly tickets, and also requesting flowers and full subscriptions. 089 Awakening and Foretelling the Future, landing on Daughter Island. Although he said, let's go, it was not possible to leave immediately. As a responsible leader, things that need to be arranged still need to be arranged. You guys go to the port and wait for me. I will come later. Understood. Please come as soon as possible. Vice Admiral Wuxia was not worried about people running away. He immediately greeted Bing Shan and walked out of the office with his subordinates. I will be leaving for a while. Mayor Bing Shan, I entrust the matter of the ship to you. Luffy put down the red tea in his hand and said as he stood up. You can rest assured, I will not joke about the reputation of the Corella Shipbuilding Company. Seeing that Luffy was about to leave, Bing Shan immediately stood up and took a few steps to see him off. Regarding Nico Robin, Luffy leaned close to his ear and whispered a few words. Then he patted his shoulder and smiled. Take care of yourself. Well then, goodbye. I'll probably come back here in about a month. Bing Shan stood still, his expression extremely serious. On the other side, Luffy left the mayor's mansion with Nami and Robin. I'm going to attend the Shichibukai meeting. You two stay here for now. Will it be dangerous? Nami looked worried. Luffy shook his head. The danger is not for me, but as he spoke, his gaze turned to Robin. Because of the incident with Akiji before, Robin now wouldn't be easily manipulated by CP9's agents with just a few words, like in the original story, for the sake of the Straw Hat Crew's safety. The problem is not CP9, but once he leaves, the world government might send someone to capture her, and he couldn't bring Robin with him to attend the Shichibukai meeting. Luffy, don't underestimate me. I'm already used to dealing with this kind of thing, Robin laughed softly. Well then, Luffy took a moment to think and made some arrangements for the two of them. Mr. 2 of the second team, whose real name is Bentham, is a user of the clone fruit ability. When they were in Alabasta, he perfectly disguised himself as the Princess Koala. He will pretend to be Robin and attract attention from others. As for Robin herself, she will have to disguise herself a bit. This is not a problem for Robin, as her 20 years of experience on the run have taught her various strange skills. This is indeed a good plan. Nami's eyes lit up, agreeing. I will only be back in about a month. The modifications to the Arc Maxim will also take some time. Don't slack off during this period of training, Luffy said, bidding farewell to the two women. Using his observation haki, Luffy quickly found Chopper's presence. He and Usopp and the others were strolling on the main street. After thinking for a moment, he immediately headed towards the southern coast. You have arrived at the new island, Water 7. Reward, 1,000 adventure points. Adventure points, 7825. He opened the adventure shop and began searching for the items he urgently needed. There were two things he wanted. First, the blank fruit. Second, the 6 powers fruit. The former was for backup, in case Whitebeard died and the shock fruit couldn't be wasted. The latter was for investment. Yes, it was for investment. With the physical enhancement water developed by Chopper, he would buy 6 powers fruits for the crew members to enhance their combat abilities. This way, he would earn more adventure points. Today's luck was good. The shop had the haki fruit available. Although it wasn't the current target, his observation haki was only 1 level away from completion, so he bought it without hesitation. Adventure points minus 200. Refresh, refresh, refresh. In total, I brushed 7 times, consuming a total of 1320 adventure coins. I didn't see any blank fruits, but I bought 2 boxes of rokushiki fruits and 3 individual rokushiki fruits. A total of 15 rokushiki fruits. Consumed a total of 2,300 adventure coins. Continuing to brush is not cost-effective. It costs $12.80 each time, which is too expensive, so I give up. Adventure coins. 78254005 return to the southern coast. Zoro is punching Mr. Three's wax wall with all his might. His fist is wrapped in bandages, and blood is seeping through. Seeing Luffy return, the two immediately stop their training. "You're back so soon, Luffy. How did things go with the ship?" "I left the ship to Nami." "Zoro, take these and give them to Law later." Luffy hands over 15 rokushiki fruits to Zoro without waiting for him to ask, and quickly explains the Shichibukai meeting. After listening, Zoro immediately understands. "So, you're going to save Ace?" "Wow, Zoro, you become quite smart." Luffy looks at him in surprise. Zoro's eyebrows jump fiercely. "Don't take me for a fool. I saw the news of the public execution, and combined with your actions, it's not surprising to guess. But how did you anticipate it would turn out like this? When we were in Alabasta, you obtained the title of Shichibukai. Was it all for this moment?" Luffy pats his shoulder and says with great seriousness, "I've trained my observation haki to an advanced stage, so I can predict the future. I told you before, didn't I?" Zoro is instantly dumbfounded, with a blank expression on his face. "Can you really see the future that far? Keep it up. By the time I come back, you better have mastered armament haki, or else I'll have to teach you personally, even if the process might be a bit rough." After finishing the necessary matters, a marine warship happens to sail from not far away. Vice Admiral stood at the bow of the ship and shouted, "Are you ready yet, Straw Hat Luffy? We don't have much time." "All right then, goodbye Zoro. Please pass on my message to the other crew members." Luffy smiled slightly and turned to leave. Zoro silently withdrew his gaze as he watched Luffy board the warship. At that moment, his heart, technique, and body merged together, and he punched the wax wall. Bang! In an instant, a crack appeared on the wall. "Zoro, your wall isn't that strong, huh?" Zoro grinned. The warship, a spacious room. As one of the Shichibukai in the invited party, Luffy naturally had the largest room to himself. Sitting on the sofa, he took out the haki fruit he had bought earlier and ate it on the spot. Observation haki. IV4 LV5, his auditory power was strengthened once again, and his Conqueror's haki had reached an advanced stage. At the same time, he also gained the power of foreseeing the future. Of course, it wasn't as terrifying as Zoro had made it sound, being able to see things that would happen a month or even 2 months later. The power of foreseeing the future with the color of observation could only see a very short period of time. Just a few seconds. Level 5 is not the limit. At least I haven't mastered the ability to see and kill yet. It seems like I'll have to continue buying haki fruits in the future. Luffy fell into deep thought. Since the 6 powers fruit can extract effective ingredients and produce body-enhancing water, could haki also be made into something practical? I had considered letting Chopper give a try before, but I didn't have any spare haki fruits for experimentation. Now that his Conqueror's haki has reached an advanced stage, it's worth a try. The only problem is that the probability of obtaining a haki fruit is much lower than that of a rokushiki fruit. Just as I was thinking about it, there was a knock on the door. Then, Vice Admiral Wusha walked in, followed by a Marine pushing a food cart. Luffy's gaze sharpened, and he immediately saw a glimpse of the future. It will take 6 or 7 days to get to Daughter Island. "Luffy-sama, I don't know if you're hungry, so I had food sent over." There was no need to show off on the spot, just to test his own strength. Sure enough, as soon as Wusha entered the door, he spoke up. "It will take 6 or 7 days to get to Daughter Island." "Luffy-sama, I don't know if you're hungry, so I had lunch sent over." "Thank you." The Marine immediately placed the food from the cart on the table in front of the sofa. Naturally, there were also drinks, including alcohol. It seemed a bit strange to have alcohol on a warship, but this mission was specifically to welcome a Shichibukai, so it was acceptable to make preparations in advance. The Marine nervously poured a glass of red wine for Luffy. Luffy picked up the glass and took a sip, asking, Will it take 6 or 7 days to return as well? No, that's the ideal situation. That woman never responds to summons. Wush's expression turns sour when talking about the Empress. Why send him to pick up the Empress? Hawkeye and the Empress are the two most independent Shichibukai. Although the others also have their own issues, most of the time they still respond to summons. Curiously, Luffy asked, "Never? Not even once?" Yes. Since she took on the title of Shichibukai 11 years ago, she has never attended a meeting. Wusha replied in a deep voice. Luffy couldn't help but laugh. That's how it is. The title of Shichibukai has not been stripped away. The world government is truly a great benefactor. Of course, this is a joke. The actual situation is that the world government has a secret plan and has been developing a humanoid weapon called Burning Angel. They have fused the bloodline of a special race and secretly extracted the genes of the Shichibukai. The Burning Angel created from this has combat power that is almost comparable to that of a real Shichibukai. They didn't have a chance to extract my genes, but I have to be careful not to leave any loopholes later. Luffy thought to himself, looking at the food on the table. When it comes to extracting genes, the best target is, of course, human tissue. For example, when eating, it is possible to leave something behind. As soon as he boarded the ship, the flying squirrel brought him delicious food, maybe with this idea in mind. "Lord Luffy, I won't disturb you while you eat. If you need anything later, you can order the Marines outside at any time." Leaving these words, the flying squirrel left with the person, and when he reached the door, he couldn't help but say one more thing. "Anything else?" Luffy ate generously and asked, "About the pirate empress, it's best not to provoke her, or you'll be turned into stone. Her ability is very troublesome." As a man, the flying squirrel naturally understood the interest in the pirate empress. He already had children, the way of young people. However, he still advised, if Luffy were turned into stone, it would be troublesome. "Thank for the reminder. Don't worry, I know her ability very well." "Well then, goodbye." Click. The door was closed. Luffy shook his head and thought seriously while enjoying the food. If the Empress were to release Marrow Mellow on him, would he turn into stone? The answer is 100% turning into stone. This ability is too treacherous. As long as there is a moment of infatuation, being mesmerized by her beauty, the body will petrify. Even without the kind of infatuation between men and women, even with thoughts like so cute or so beautiful, it is still possible to turn into stone. The Archangel created based on the Empress is in the form of a young girl, and she can replicate the Empress's ability to turn others into stone. Surely not everyone likes young girls like perverts, right? In fact, just feeling cute is enough to fall victim. Note, Haki can resist it. With my current Haki, consciously resisting her ability will not be a problem. Luffy thought calmly. The only thing to note is to use Haki before being petrified. Once petrified, the person's thinking will be frozen, and there will be no time to release Haki. But this is not a problem at all. After all, he can see into the future. Time flies. 7 days later, the warship sailed against the Grand Line and finally entered the Calm Belt. For marine warships today, the sea area that is difficult for ordinary ships to navigate is not a problem at all. Similar to sea stone, a substance is installed on the bottom of the warship that can release a pheromone that sea kings dislike, so they will not be targeted by the creatures living in the Calm Belt. You have sailed in the Sea of Paradise for 7 days, rewarded with 700 adventure coins inside the room. Luffy sat on the edge of the bed, boredly looking at the blue sea outside the window. The system prompt arrived as scheduled. During these 7 days, in addition to the daily sailing rewards, the crew members in the 7 water capital have also been continuously mastering new 6 styles. The previous investments have been rewarding every day. Up to now, those people have mastered a total of 26 styles, accumulating a feedback of 5,200 adventure coins. Especially Zoro has become the 3rd person to fully master the Rokushiki technique, following Vivi and Nami. Adventure coins, 4,599.05. Suddenly, a knocking sound is heard. Voices of the Marines can be heard from outside. "Luffy-sama, We are about to enter the waters near Big Daughter Island. Understood. Big Daughter Island, also known as Amazon Lily, is a country formed by women. The ruler of this country is one of the 7 warlords of the sea, the pirate empress, Boa Hancock. Before becoming a Shichibukai, she had a bounty of 80 million berries from a single expedition. Now, after so many years disregarding her title, this woman's strength has reached over 1.6 billion. At this moment, thickness. Sister Sama, it's a communication from the Marines. Marigold immediately reports to the pirate empress. The warship has arrived outside the island, and they are requesting us to come out and meet them. They still know the rules of Big Daughter Island. Since they didn't request permission to land, let's give them some praise. The pirate empress sits on a cute pink python, her delicate face showing a disgusted expression. I hate the Marines, and I hate the government even more. I have no interest in the gathering of the Shichibukai. But are we just going to ignore this? Well, let me think. With her eyes closed, the pirate empress stands up and walks outside step by step in her red high heels. The warship that came to welcome us, daringly intruding into the Sea King's territory, will ultimately meet an unimaginable end in the sea. Will the naval headquarters accept such a result? A wicked smile appears on the corners of her mouth as the pirate empress's voice reaches the ears of her 2 sisters. Let's go, Marigold and Sandersonia. Let's go and meet them. Note, the activation condition of the little empress's ability was answered by Oda in response to a question from a reader. If she finds someone cute, she will be affected. Thanks to Ollie Bewley and Blue U for the monthly tickets, and also requesting flowers and full subscriptions. 090 the world's most beautiful woman. Luffy, infiltrate. I walked an openly calm belt near Daughter Island. On the deck of a warship, countless Marines, some holding swords, some holding guns, all with serious expressions, looked towards the direction of Daughter Island. The gate opened, and a pirate ship sailed out from behind the gate, slowly heading towards the warship. They're here, Vice Admiral Anawabanshu. That's the perfume Yuda, the pirate empress's snake princess. All hands on alert. That's the pirate empress. Who knows what she'll do? Anawabanshu loudly reminded all the soldiers. Gulped the sound of swallowing saliva. The soldiers were all nervous, but also excited. After all, she was rumored to be the world's most beautiful woman, and soldiers are also men. Naturally, they would have the thought of catching a glimpse of her beauty. So nervous. Luffy sat on the main cannon of the warship, holding an apple in his hand, casually taking a bite. Luffy-sama, you shouldn't take it lightly either. Anawabanshu reminded him with a serious tone. Soon, the pirate ship of the Empress approached and stopped parallel to the warship. The Perfume Yuda pirate ship flew a pirate flag with a skull enveloped by 9 snakes that resembled the sun in appearance. The women of Daughter Island, also known as the 9 Snake Tribe. In addition to wind sail power, the ship itself also had 2 huge sea snake camels underneath, allowing it to freely enter and exit the comm belt. After the ship stabilized, many female crew members on the deck gathered on the side closest to the warship. Marine's technology has also improved. Such a large warship, daringly docking in the center of this monster-infested sea area. Quite courageous, Marine. The speaker was a short-haired woman, with a pink snake wrapped around her right arm and a quiver hanging on her back. Seeing this woman, Luffy had a vague impression, but forgot her name specifically. Upon hearing this, the Marines showed displeased expressions. Anawabanshu said in a deep voice, "This is a new generation warship, reinforced with sea stone, which can eliminate a certain amount of aura and avoid Sea King's attacks. But if it stays still for a long time, it will be discovered sooner or later. New technology? A new generation of warships?" The members of the 9 Snake Pirates frowned slightly, only to hear Wusha continue. "According to the agreement between your 9 Snake Pirates and the government, our warships cannot enter within a 3-kilometer range. However, the effectiveness of this agreement is based on your compliance with the government's dispatch." At this point, he took a deep breath. "Are you not coming out yet?" 7 warlords of the sea, Pirate Empress, Boa Hancock, I am here on behalf of the naval headquarters to welcome you. Oh my, why are you shouting so loudly? Men, omen, trulelakning tastas. Living men, it's been a long time since we've seen any. Whenever we were on an expedition in the open sea, whether it was merchant ships or other pirate crews, as soon as they saw our flag, they would run faster than anyone else. The response to him was the voices of women expressing disdain. A cross immediately appeared on Woosh's forehead, and he angrily said, "Nine snake pirates, every time the government calls for you. Your response is always that you will participate and come as soon as possible, but you have never actually come. Don't think that this kind of willful behavior can continue forever. This time, it is a mandatory call from the government. If you still want to play this trick, the title of Shichibukai will definitely be revoked. Do you understand? Pirate Empress." Squeak on the deck of the perfumed serpent. The door to the stern tower slowly opens. Accompanied by the sound of high heels stepping on the deck, a tall and graceful black-haired woman slowly appears before everyone's eyes. Finally decided to show up? Woosh's expression becomes extremely serious. The compulsory gathering of the Shichibukai? Have we finally reached the point where the Marine Vice Admiral personally comes to welcome us? The Empress's voice is cold. She steps onto the stairs, stepping on the head of one of the sea snakes, and extends her fair and slender fingers, pointing towards the direction of the warship. The sea snake moves its head, acting as the stairs, and escorts the Empress to the front of the Marines. At this moment, the mysterious veil of the rumored pirate Empress is completely revealed before the eyes of the men. She has a tall figure, black long hair styled in a princess-like manner, a slightly wide and smooth forehead, slender and delicate almond-shaped eyes with a hint of coldness, a high and straight nose, a small and delicate nose, rosy lips, and a pair of golden snake-shaped earrings hanging from her ears. She is dressed in a black cheongsam with gold thread, and a white cloak is draped behind her. At this moment, with one hand on her waist, slightly tilting her head, she silently gazes at the Marines. Her attitude is extremely arrogant. This is the rumored pirate Empress? I've never seen her in person before. She truly deserves the title of the world's most beautiful woman. Damn it, she's acting as if she looks down on us. She's just too beautiful. The Marines initially showed anger on their faces, but as time passed, their expressions crumbled one by one, completely surrendering to her beauty, revealing their infatuation. The face of the squirrel turned black. This group really embarrassed the Marines. On the other side, Luffy was also sizing up the Empress. Indeed, she is very beautiful, with an outstanding temperament that can arouse a man's desire to conquer. She is completely different from Nami and Vivi in terms of appearance. Of course, this is the impression she gives on the surface. In reality, she's like a blank sheet of paper, completely obsessed with love. This is also a kind of Mo contrast, although it is not popular now. Just like Sundara in a different environment, Luffy thought to himself, silently watching the show on the side. In order to prevent his subordinates from further embarrassing themselves, the squirrel decisively accelerated the pace of the conversation and said bluntly, "Our warships have all arrived here. What is your answer?" It's really distressing. I don't want to participate in the war at the naval headquarters, but I also don't want to be stripped of my title as a Shichibukai. The Empress sighed lightly. Is there such a good thing in the world? Don't think you can be as willful as before this time. The squirrel's face turned ugly. Don't worry, Marine Vice Admiral. I also want the goods on your warships. The Empress smiled faintly. His fist clenched. The squirrel couldn't bear it and angrily said, "Don't joke around. We're not children. Do you think I would agree to such a request?" At the same time as he burst into anger, the many subordinates behind him couldn't wait any longer and began to act. Hurry up! Hurry up! Send everything over. What a beautiful woman she is, whatever it is. I'm willing to give it to her. These idiots. The face of the flying squirrel changed drastically. In the next moment, the Empress leaped down from the head of the sea snake, her face filled with a slightly ironic smile, and she stretched out her arms in front of her chest, making a heart-shaped gesture. The corrupt and wicked desires that are infatuated with me will harden your bodies. Marrow, marrow, mellow. In an instant, A wave of pink heart-shaped rays swept through everyone. The Marines who were tempted by beauty, one by one, maintained a posture with hearts in their eyes, and in the blink of an eye, they turned into stone statues. And in this crisis, the Vice Admiral, the Flying Squirrel, was the first to take out a dagger and fiercely stab it into his own palm. Blood soaked the deck everywhere. The Empress's mouth curled up. Impressive, Naval Headquarters Vice Admiral. Your reaction is quick, using intense pain to suppress temporary evil thoughts, huh? Damn it, veins bulged on the Flying Squirrel's forehead. The Empress's gaze shifted slightly, glancing at the naval cannon on the warship, where a man was still eating an apple, completely in a spectator state. From the moment she appeared until now, her mouth hasn't stopped. Luffy laughed. You're not doing so well, Flying Squirrel. You warned me to be careful earlier, but you weren't careful yourself. Luffy-sama. The Flying Squirrel felt ashamed. A Shichibukai, just like me. The Empress narrowed her eyes slightly, ignoring the man as if he were air. You just said it, Marine Vice Admiral. This warship is a new generation, equipped with sea stone to avoid Sea King's attacks. But if it stays here for too long, it will eventually be discovered. What do you want to do? The Flying Squirrel gritted his teeth. I don't want to do anything. With all your subordinates wiped out, you alone can't control such a large warship. Even if you leave it alone, the Sea Kings that inhabit this area will devour you. The Empress blinked and turned away. Impressive, Snake Princess. Let these stinky men fend for themselves here. How long can you hold on? Vice Admiral. The women on the deck cheered to welcome their queen. Squirrel pulled out a dagger, covered her wound, and stood up, saying, the public execution of Fire Fist Ace has been scheduled. It will take place in Marinefords Plaza. Boa Hancock, I will wait for you here for half a month. If there is no response within half a month, you will bear all the consequences. The perfume snake head returned without looking back. No reply at all. Damn pirate Empress. Squirrel's face turned pale with anger. Ha ha, she really is an arrogant woman. Luffy laughed and suggested, why don't you contact the government now, strip her of her title on the spot, and request support from Marine Headquarters? Bring the Buster Call fleet and bombard Amazon Lily. How about that? Then, you can say that it's all her own fault. A satisfying plot. Obviously, Squirrel is not the protagonist of this satisfying story. Squirrel shook her head and said, my mission is to bring people back as much as possible. Her combat power is outstanding. I will try my best to negotiate with her in the face of the battle against Whitebeard. Strong combat power is needed. It doesn't matter how willful the Empress is now. What matters is to make her accept the summons. With one more powerful force, there will be fewer casualties for the Marines in the war. I don't care about a little humiliation to myself. Squirrel tore off a corner of her cloak and used it as a bandage to wrap her wound. She won't accept the summons, Luffy said, watching the perfumed snake head gradually move away, grinning. Forget it. I'll help you guys along the way. Saying that, he leaped and flew towards the pirate ship. Luffy-sama? Squirrel was startled and quickly reminded, men are prohibited from landing on Amazon Lily. Ignoring his words, Luffy was already standing on the deck at the stern. They won't fight, right? Please give me flowers. No, it's possible that he will be turned into stone. The Empress not accepting the summons is still within an acceptable range. If even Luffy is petrified, he won't be able to explain it when he goes back. After all, compared to the Empress, Monkey D. Luffy, who possesses Conqueror's Haki, is more outstanding in terms of combat power. Just as Luffy is heading to Onigashima with the help of the Sea Snake ship. Naval Headquarters. A vast information room. Garp is flipping through the Marines' historical intelligence data alone. In his capacity as a Vice Admiral, he dismissed everyone. The rubber fruit. There must be something wrong with this fruit. When they were in Lowtown, Luffy deliberately showed him his awakened state, trying to convey some kind of message. Although it is clearly a paramecia, rubber fruit, it exhibits characteristics of a Zoan. In the awakened state, Luffy's speed, strength, and so on have all greatly increased. He can even turn his body into rubber. That punch is still fresh in Garp's memory. This fruit was brought by that BD Shanks, and about 10 years ago, Luffy accidentally ate it. As a grandfather, Garp naturally knows about this past. Although he didn't spend much time in Windmill Village, he still learned about the situation as soon as he found out that Luffy had become a devil fruit user. At this moment, he is flipping through the devil fruit encyclopedia. However, the further he flips, the more serious his expression becomes. Until the last page. None. Garp is stunned, and he flips through it again, not believing his eyes. Still nothing. There is no record of the rubber fruit in the encyclopedia. This is impossible. The Devil Fruit Encyclopedia is not made by the Marines. It is an ancient devil fruit encyclopedia that appeared at the same time as the devil fruits in this world. That was a long, long time ago, so long that the exact era cannot be known. What's going on? What did that red-haired BD give Luffy to eat? Garp frowned. There are only two possibilities for a fruit that is not recorded in the encyclopedia. The first possibility is an artificially developed devil fruit, a new variety. The scientist Vegapunk of the world government has been studying the replication of devil fruits. Under the government's orders, a new devil fruit could have been developed, although the possibility is not small. The second possibility is that the rubber fruit has some special characteristic that is why it is not included in the encyclopedia. The encyclopedia here belongs to the government. Does the government know about the rubber fruit? Garp fell into deep thought. Luffy himself obviously knows that the fruit he ate is quite special. You brat, you'll come to headquarters for the meeting soon, and I'll personally ask you then. Not a worry-free situation. Garp sighed. His grandson ate a very special fruit and became a pirate. He had to bring his grandson back from his disciples' capture, and soon he would have to publicly execute him. Sitting in his chair, Garp closed the encyclopedia and felt a sense of confusion. You have arrived at the new island, Daughter Island. Reward, 1,000 adventure points. When the perfume snake returned to the port, Luffy also received a system prompt. Another 10,000 berries. Just like Sky Island. Daughter Island.
No more novels? Take part in the voting. The most requested novels and those with the most likes will be chosen for publication on euroaudiobooks.com. There, I can upload as much as I want without the risk of receiving a strike. Our 18 novels and other content that exceed what is morally acceptable are only published on Patreon or the free novels page. Remember, the site is funded by donations on Ko-fi and Patreon memberships.